Content warnings for this video game are listed in the podcast description.
Kuin painajainen hän luoksesi saapuu, hänet verhot tuon varjojen kaapuun. Monta tarinaa hänestä kerrotaan, häntä pakoon et pääse sä milloinkaan. Hän peilistä sua tuijottaa, murhan polte se kruunui mua. Tuon katseen tunnet et voi unohtaa, vaik kasvot piiloutuu veriverhon taa. On yötön yö, se järjen syö. On yötön yö, se miehen syö.
Hello everyone and welcome to The Safe Room, a survival horror podcast. I'm Grace and with me is my co-host, Rose.
Hello, yes, you caught me doing my vocal warm-ups. Hello.
Hello. Just hanging out backstage.
That's right.
Yeah, we're about to go on. You know that this guy, Mr. Door, he seems pretty cool.
He seems pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. What's he up to though back there? You know, everything's dark in here and there's no crew members. It's kind of weird.
And I've never heard of him before now.
Yeah, you'd think, he's like a big talk show host. You'd think you would have heard of him before. Yeah. We played Alan Wake 2.
He's no Jimmy Fallon,
Sorry. Well, sorry, I'm flailing to make a joke about the racial makeup of late night hosts. I will refrain now. Because they only let white guys do it, basically.
That's true.
Yeah. What's going on? I mean, I know what's going on. Retweet if you know why. We played Alan Wake 2.
We did it.
Yeah. This game's good. I think.
Hey.
Yeah.
They made a good one of these. That's so crazy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We'll see. I didn't manage to finish my Control replay. But I will say that American Nightmare is just completely, nobody should ever play that. Everything that's interesting about that game is just in this and 10 times better.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. It's all here, Yeah, I did play Quantum Break though. Not that we should talk about that, but I did play Quantum Break. Maybe I talked about that last time. I don't remember. And we will talk about it because it is relevant. Weirdly, not in a big way, but it's around. It's there.
The gamers freak out at the Remedy cinematic universe.
Yeah, we'll talk about this because I think this is one of the things that I am one of 2 or 3 things that I'm mixed on.
Yeah,
is the Remedy cinematic universe. Because basically I like this kind of stuff. I like David Mitchell a lot, and despite my better instincts, I like Stephen King. And I like it when the Tommyknockers is in part a really cool book because it brings back and resolves and talks about a bunch of other Stephen King books. in like interesting ways. And I think the best that stuff gets is when it's really sort of gestural, right? And when it feels evocative, and the relationships between the different works are scant and again, like more kind of on the edges rather than like trying to sell you the next product. And I think this is a little bit caught between those things. And kind of just by nature of just being a video game that is this big, you know.
I mean, yeah. I mean, even at a certain point, even like Lynch stuff shares a cinematic language.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
So,
yeah. Well, it's like, I mean, there's a little bit, and I think this is actually a really cool thing. There's a little bit of like the Mulholland Drive energy here, where that was like going to be a Twin Peaks thing at one point, and then became something else. And obviously this is just, it's Alan Wake 2, right? But there's like the way it handles Quantum Break is very much like, what if we took a couple of ideas from that and just fully integrated them into this other thing and basically just improved on them, I think. Or sort of solidify the things that are like actually interesting about what that game set up at the end.
Anyway, we're gonna spoil this game. So,
yes.
If you're listening and you haven't played it and you want to, you should not listen to this.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I guess tentatively, I think if you are, even if you're not like a Remedy person, but you are interested in like broadly what this is putting down, I think it's probably worth checking out. And I think even if you have like an intense negative response to it, I think that would probably be like an interesting and productive negative response rather than like just like a, oh, this sucks kind of thing, you know? So that maybe that's like not, that makes it sound, I like this game a lot. But just to say that, like, I think even if you're like, I don't know about this Sam Lake guy, you might still get something out of this.
Yeah, I did not like the first Alan Wake.
Famously, if you listen to the show.
But I love this game. I like it a lot. It's really good.
Yeah, I think, well, I guess maybe that's a good place to start, is like, what is different about this that makes you like it?
Yeah. Do you want to summarize the plot though?
Oh, yeah, I guess we should.
What happens in this game?
Oh boy. I mean, both simultaneously, like, not that much happens and a lot happens. Cause like, in brief, like, Alan Wake he's still in Cauldron Lake, man. He's shown up in like crossover projects and had his own like spin-off game, you know, and he's still fucking in the lake, man. And he's trying to ride his way out, and it's not really working. And when he's in the lake, he meets these kooky characters like Mr. Door and Ati the janitor, who's a prominent character in Control. Meanwhile, Saga Anderson, who's a FBI detective with her partner Alex Casey, who no relation at first. It's emphasized like, oh, no relation to Alex Casey, the character that Alan Wake writes about, but then that quickly becomes sort of like, oh, maybe no, it probably is more than something's going on there, right? They are going to investigate like a series of murders that have taken place in Bright Falls, or the area around Bright Falls around Cauldron Lake, where these like strange, like ritualistic killings where people's hearts are being torn out and like their skin is maybe being written on and stuff, and they like emerge from the lake, and they're all people who disappeared back in 2010, so during the original game. So the first person is the FBI agent in that game who's trying to kill you. Nightingale, right? And yeah, I'm sorry, I'm like, whoa, the stars, man, there's so much stuff. But yeah, basically, Saga starts to kind of... She's, like, cool with there being supernatural shit, like, very quickly. She's like, oh, yeah. Uh-huh. There's ghost shit. That's cool. And so basically starts figuring out that there are these places called overlaps that are, like, related to the dark place, to the lake. And in there, she can, like, talk to Alan Wake, right? And figure out, like, what is going on with the killings. These killings have been done by, like, this cult called the Cult of the Tree. And they leave, like, a bunch of collectibles around for you to pick up also. And so she... Basically, the first time she goes through, after she emerges, Alan Wake shows up. And so they take him back and are, like, trying to interrogate him. And he's, like... doesn't really remember what happened while he was in the lake. He, it's also been 13 years since then. It's a little bit, it's a little bit Twin Peaks: The Return in some senses, right? Anyway, what else? Is there stuff that I've missed here so far? Or do you want to take it from here, maybe? You could tag me back. I'm just, like... trying to process.
Yeah. Where did you leave off?
Oh, they picked up Alan Wake from the lake.
Yes. He says he's a writer.
He does. He literally does. He's like, I'm Alan Wake. I'm a writer.
Yeah. It's been a minute since I played this. So
yeah. Also, they're finding manuscript pages like in the first game, right? That predict stuff that's going to happen.
Yep. They like take Wake to the police station, and then Alan Wake like describes what's happening to him. I think from there, what's the name of the Saga? Saga. Yeah. Does she go to Cauldron Lake after that?
No, Cauldron Lake is first. I actually skipped over because they go get the body of Sheriff Nightingale. Right. So they're at Cauldron Lake for that, and then they take it back to the morgue, and he comes to life and tries to kill her. And then she goes back to Cauldron Lake and uses the overlap to fight Nightingale and then talk with Wake. Right.
Okay. She goes after the clicker, right?
Yes, yeah.
And then she goes to Coffee World.
Yes.
And in Coffee World, you learn more about the cult. And you learn that the two sheriffs are like leading the cult.
Well, they're involved. Yeah,
they're like involved, and then the fucking old guards of Asgard, they're like your dad. They're like the one of the guys is Saga's dad.
Well, it's Saga's grandfather. Yeah,
grandfather. Yes, or thinks he is at least.
Right. And that like this is one of the things that's like kind of like. Saga has a relationship to the town. Yeah. To Watery specifically, which is like in the area of Bright Falls and is like, I think they can even call it like Little Finland, right? Like that area of Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like primarily Finnish immigrants live there. And there's also these two brothers, Jaakko and Elmo, who are like, also in some way sort of related to the cult and have all these like spurious business projects, including Coffee World and a bunch of these other things. Right. And some of that may be like pre-existing to her running into the story, and some of it may not be. And it's hard to like tell what the line between those two things is. Right. Yeah, because like, because when she first is in Bright Falls, she goes to the cafe and Rose is there. Rose is the waitress from Alan Wake 1, who is like obsessed with Alan Wake and got briefly possessed by the dark presence. to like manipulate him into doing some shit. And she's like, oh, like recognizes Saga and is like, it's a shame what happened to your daughter. And Saga's like, what are you talking about? My daughter's fine. Like she's with her dad, you know, like out of state, right? Like somewhere else. And she's like, okay, like whatever you say. And that basically, as the game goes on, that becomes like more and more common, that like she keeps running into people who seem to recognize her, right? And that kind of culminates with like this relationship with Thor and Odin, the two old gods of Asgard members.
Yep. Yeah, and then Saga, you know, eventually ends up with the clicker, or like the, you know, Thor and Odin tell her, give her some lore dumps, basically. She eventually does find the clicker. She also as part of like this like melding of the story, her daughter, Logan, is basically like being written out, or like is like, but basically like the story as Alan Wake is writing it is that Saga's daughter died at a young age in an accident.
Yes.
And so as we get deeper into the case, the more that becomes reality. Like it starts from the characters in the town believing it to it actually happening in the real world.
Yeah.
So,
because it moves from, because Casey is like, because in the beginning of the game, Saga and Casey like talk about like her daughter, and like he had been coming over to like dinner. That might be a later revelation. I mean, not a revelation. It's just like talked about later. But they like they have all four of them have like a relationship together, right? Not like a poly thing, but they all know each other, right? And like she calls her daughter on the phone and stuff. And then later Casey's like, Saga, Logan's been dead for years, right?
Yeah.
Like what are you talking about? Like what's going on? And then that also like eventually she calls her husband, who is like, I don't ever want to talk to you again. Like you took my daughter away from me and then she died. Right. Yeah. And it's your fault. God, that shit is intense.
So Saga gets the clicker. And then with that, and with the help of Casey and Odin and Tor, and then the FBI shows up also.
Well, the FPC.
Is it?
Yeah.
The FPC. Yeah. Yes. Detective Estevez, I think.
Yeah.
They summon Alan Wake. Or like do a ritual to summon Alan Wake. But then it turns out that like when they do the ritual, they summon him in the past.
Right. And that he...
it also turns out that he is like possessed by Scratch.
Yeah. So let's go back to the Alan side, because this is also the Alan side is like way less plot, right? It's very much more like mood, because it's just about him like doing the same shit over and over again and struggling to like get out. But basically he keeps he's writing. So Departure is the novel that's in Alan Wake, right? And then he starts writing Return at the end of like the Alan Wake 1 DLC. And so he's basically like, okay, I need like an in-between novel called Initiation that like sets up Return so that I can, get back to the real world, right? And it's centered around these cult murders in New York. And this is also like Casey and Alex Casey. It's centered around Alex Casey, this character, right? And it turns out that the real life Casey like went to New York to investigate a bunch of cult killings that were related to Alan Wake's novel. So like that has happened in sort of the past of the game, but it's also like simultaneous. There's a lot of like timey-wimey kind of stuff. He goes to like crime sites, and that's where like the puzzle gameplay kind of takes place. Where you like rewrite scenes that then have different effects on the environment. So it's like you like turn like the foyer of a theater into a murder site, and then the door opens, right? Or stuff like that. And And then once he like goes through the murder site, he can go to Parliament Tower, which is where he used to live with Alice. And Alice is like building this art show that is like photographs of him or, you know, Scratch from the dark place, right? And then also there's the stuff with Thomas Zane, but I guess it doesn't really matter. We could sort of talk about that later, maybe. I mean, it matters, but not in terms of like plot, right? Yeah, what is the...
You want to talk about the Alice stuff?
Yeah, I do. I'm just trying to figure out if there's anything else we should cover before going back to that. Because there is also a point where, like, Estevez, the FBC, like, takes Alan away before they summon Wake. And then, like, shit goes bad. Most of the agents are killed, and, like, a bunch of the people at the sheriff's office where they're, like, holding him are killed. And, Saga shows up and kind of tries to fix the situation, but then finds Scratch there, right? And finds out that you know, Scratch is out. And then kind of concludes from that, oh, Wake is still in the dark place, right? And we need to get him out, and that's why we made a song. So, also, okay, the one thing I need to remember is that Wake believes that Scratch wrote his own version of Return that is, like, really dark and horrific, and this is part of where, like, the Saga's daughter dying stuff comes in, right? And is like, I have to try and fix the story. And so a lot of the manuscripts you find have like penned in alterations and like scratched out lines and stuff. And then just before he's about to finish editing it, Scratch comes in. He thinks it's Scratch, right? And shoots him in the head. And then you kind of get the final sequence where he visits his wife exhibition for the last time. And it turns out that she has this whole speech about like turning from the artist into art and a few other things, but that she has committed suicide, and that because she has been haunted by Scratch, and you know, and she also like assumes that it's Alan. And he's like, is so full of rage and is like pursuing me, and I don't know how to like be free of it, right? And so I don't know what else to do. And I think she even says like this is going to be a confusing decision to some people. And then Alan, in rage, bursts in on what he thinks is Scratch and shoots him in the head. And it's me from earlier, right? And I am just Scratch, and that's when he sort of lets the dark presence in to take him over. And that's sort of the point where like the two, because you start the game as Saga, you play as Alan Wake for a little bit, and then like in the middle portion of the game you can switch between them freely, and then at that point it kind of locks in, and you like play as Saga, play as Alan, play as Saga again, I think.
Yeah, and you do the ritual to summon Alan, and then, you know, Alan shows up in current day Bright Falls to confront Scratch.
Yeah, well, first they try and they like put Alan Scratch in the containment unit on the beach where they tried to summon him, and the dark presence breaks free from Alan and enters into Casey, who was wounded earlier, and sort of implied that had some dark presence influence. And so yeah, then Alan from the Casey toss Saga into the lake, and then Alan goes to like Bright Falls to try and rescue her, which also means like entering into the dark place again. Which then is Deerfest.
Yeah.
You know, is like this bright, happy environment, and then people are trying to knife you. So he goes to the writing room, which it turns out is in... Oh, wait, this doesn't matter. But he figures out where the writing room is and goes there and is trying to, like, construct the ending. I can't... There's so much stuff in this game. Because I forgot to mention the mind place is actually really important. So like Saga has inherited psychic abilities from Thor and Odin and from like that line of her family. And so she has this like mind palace that she goes to like, this is where you like put up evidence, and like it like has a light kind of detective mini game basically. And there's a sequence where she first enters the dark place and is in the mind place and basically can't bring herself to leave and thinks she's a failure, and sort of kind of tries to come to like pull herself together and come to a realization of the ways that like she is imperfect but still like worthy of this moment, and like that she can save her family, right? She breaks free from the dark place. She meets up with, oh my god, she meets up with Sheriff Breaker, who we haven't talked about at all, who was taken into the dark place like very early in the game and was maybe brought there by Mr. Door, who's the like, you know, talk show host man that we were joking about at the beginning of the episode. And she gets, oh, we also forgot this. She gets the two pictures, like Alan earlier put a picture of the clicker and a picture of like a bullet made of light in a shoebox in the dark place. And so that when she goes there, she picks up the clicker and that bullet. And then they, she brings it back into the real world, banishes Scratch. Her and Alan balance Scratch from Casey's body. Oh, wait, no. So Scratch returns to possessing Alan. Saga shoots him in the head with the bullet of light. And they also have like a discussion kind of about like the ending has to be like the hero has to undergo like great cost in order to win the day, right? So like basically in order for Saga's family to be brought back, like Alan has to die or something has to happen. So he seems like she's killed him and Scratch and calls Logan on the phone, and the credits roll before anyone picks up.
Mm-hmm. And then a post-credit scene happens.
Yes.
Where you get fucking Alice. Alice is alive, it turns out.
Yeah. She
never actually died.
She jumped into Cauldron Lake, and is like in the dark place.
And has been helping Alan escape. And I don't remember the explanation, but like he's helping him escape through showing him all the art stuff to lead him on a path that can lead to an escape.
Mm-hmm.
I think. And then after this, we get Alan back in the writer's room, waking up from his gunshot wound, and he says it's not a loop, it's a spiral.
Yeah.
And then we get credits.
Yes. Yeah. And that's Alan Wake 2, more or less. I think we covered most of the stuff in the thing. And I'm sure if we didn't cover anything then and we don't cover it in the episode, too bad. I'm sorry. Also I was just going to say this game is kind of in terms of how it plays, it's like a Resident Evil Remake 2, Resident Evil 2 Remake kind of thing, like over the shoulder, inventory management, puzzle solving. Like it is a classic survival horror game in the way that Alan Wake 1 is not. And in that way, it's like a lot more deliberate and slow, which I usually like, but have some annoyances with, which we'll get to. Yeah, I think that's about it in terms of like broad strokes stuff.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that's cool about the Logan stuff to me is just that I don't know if it's the story that convinces Saga that her daughter never died. or if it's what Saga believes is that the story, you know, shapes everyone else to believe that her daughter is dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think stuff like that is, I mean, there's just, I think we talked about this in Alan Wake 1, that there's kind of like, especially at the end, there's kind of interesting ambiguities about like who is writing and who is written and what does that mean and how does it like shape all this stuff, right? And that's just like this times 50, where it's like every character has these kinds of like weird things, right? And questions about like who is creating and shaping them and whether they can or how they can create and shape others. Like even Alan, who is like the center of all this, there is sort of a question of like how in control is he of like what is occurring, right? And
also, well, there's also a huge question of like who is Thomas Zane?
Yes.
How much of Alan is Thomas Zane?
Right. Because the Thomas Zane, like as the poet who lived on Cauldron Lake stuff from Alan Wake 1, it's just gone. It's just not in this game at all, basically. There's some like references to it. Instead, Thomas Zane's a filmmaker, Finnish filmmaker who emigrated to the United States and made films both in Finland and here, and like predicted or kind of a lot of Alan Wake stuff. And like, does that come out of Alan Wake's draft of Initiation, right? Is that like that changed who Thomas was or shaped that? It's not really clear, which I think is really neat.
Yeah. And we're gonna have to talk about like
Yeah.
We have to talk like who because doesn't who plays Thomas Zane in those cutscenes?
Oh, it's so it's I'm forgetting his name and I'm almost certainly going to mispronounce it, but it's the same guy who does because it's a different voice. Like Alan Wake's played by Matthew Paretta's the voice, and it's I want to look up the name right now, but I'm on Wikipedia and it's making it hard for me. Here, let me look. But it's this guy, and I think Thomas Zane it's the actor. The actor does both the physical and the voice. Because he's Finnish, right? It is Ilkka Vili.
Right.
Yeah.
So okay. So it's the same. It's Alan. So it's him.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he is like effectively talking to him.
Yeah.
But it's Thomas Zane.
Right. And originally the Thomas Zane voice was that Max Payne guy who does Alex Casey here,
Max Payne.
right? Yeah. Who's also Trench.
But he was like
Control.
older, right?
Yeah, I think so. Because I think he and his wife had been married for a long time. Like longer than Alan and Alice.
So like Thomas Zane is just a different guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that the gap between those things, and I think this is great that it's not explored. Like Alan doesn't even remember the other guy. He doesn't remember the diver man. You know, I think there was one point where someone is like, "Don't you mean the poet?" Oh yeah, and then the Old Gods of Asgard guys and Ahti keep calling Alan Tom.
They keep calling him Tom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's really like plethoras of white masculinity in this. So
that's like an open question that's not answered by this game,
right?
Which I love.
Yeah.
I love that.
No, it's sick. I think I also just like that, you know, what the Dark Presence is, even what it wants is so unclear. Like I guess the thing is at the end, it's like, oh, it's going to bring Deerfest to the whole world. It's going to put like everybody in the lake and they're going to all be hanging out at Deerfest or some shit. And it's like, I guess that's what you want to do. Like, it's so odd. And like, I don't know how to I don't know how to like ground that, and I don't mean that in like I'm like, oh, the Dark Presence is like goofy and silly, and it doesn't have like a complex motivation. No, I really like this stuff. I like that it's like this elemental force of violence entering the world through creativity, and that like what it wants is so, and obviously it's tied into the things Alan wants. Like Alan wants to be with Alice, and so the Dark Presence through him haunts her, right? Alan wants to escape, and so the Dark Presence through that, eventually builds the opportunity for him to escape in some ways, but also like kills people, right? So to set up that escape, right? And there is like, there's a lot of stuff about like the gap between what you write as intended and what like comes out of that, and also your inability to like extrapolate the consequences of what you have written, right, into the world, right? Like I really love the scene where Saga, they sort of have these, when they talk, it's kind of neither one of them can really understand the other, and so you eventually get every conversation they have from both sides of it, but you only get like snippets from one side, right? And there's just this scene where like Saga is like, did you put my family in the story? And is like fucking angry. And I love that when you cut to Alan, it's like he doesn't even know that that's what she's mad about. Like he doesn't even know what's going on, right? That like gap between them I think is so compelling. And I think this is one thing you talked about in Alan Wake 1 is how much you didn't like the manuscript stuff because it just says what's going to happen in the game, and it has some like illumination on like, side characters and things like that, but it feels kind of extraneous, right? Whereas here, I think it's so cool because that tension is there, right? That tension between like the person who's writing this and the person who is living out this and having to deal with the consequences of what is happening. It creates this real dramatic richness between the two playable characters that I think is really cool. Sorry, I kind of went off there. Is there anything there that you want to elaborate on?
No. Other than, sorry, I'm looking at actors. I mentally sidetracked.
Oh no, it's fine. I got you. It is weird. Like I was looking at like Ikavili's letterbox page and just thinking about like I could watch this awful looking World War II movie and Alan Wake is going to be in it. That seems weird to me. And it's not actually weird. Like he's just an actor, he's just like an actor. But okay. Sorry. I've collected my thoughts. One thing I do want to say, about like this whole Saga plot. And it's like a small thing that this game does with race. Yeah. Cause Saga is black and her daughter is also like, she's like coming from a mixed race family. Cause like her grandfather is like the old Guards of Asgard guy. And I just like that, like these characters like are from Finland, but it's not really like a remarked upon. Yeah. Except for when except for when it comes to like these, like the power dynamic of like Alan as like the writer, like writing this character and like dictating what is happening to her life. I think that stuff is just like really good and understated. Yeah. In a way she does, I really like she does say like that white asshole who's writing me or whatever, like at one point. But I think it hits so hard because it doesn't, I mean, I don't mean like it's not like a huge moment, but it lands really nicely because it's not remarked upon up till then, right? It's such a like it feels so much sharper, I think. Because of that, yeah. I just I appreciate that about the game. Yeah. No, I think that stuff's why, and it's also nice that like it's not. I mean, like I don't. Maybe this is like a respectability politics thing, but I do like that it's like nobody is like, oh, Saga, it's weird that you're have this parentage. It's just like like nobody sort of remarks upon that, and that's like lovely, I think too. Oh, sorry, this is completely unrelated, but I was really tickled by Casey and Estevez trading ex-wife scars.
It's so fucking funny.
There was like a tweet that was like gay men and straight women have this like a allyship, I guess, that like straight men and lesbians do not have, and that should be built. And I think this is how we could build it.
It's so funny because Alex Casey is just like, he's noir guy, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then we just have the Bureau of Control woman who is just a lesbian. And they're just like both talking about ex-wives. It's so funny.
It's so good. I really like I like Casey and Saga's relationship a lot.
It's great.
Yeah, because I think one of the things I mentioned earlier is just that they have that. One of the things when she's trapped in the dark place that like helps her sort of get out is she's like, oh, I failed Casey. And she kind of remembers like, oh, when, basically when Casey's going through his divorce, I would like have him over to have dinner with my family and stuff. And like that meant so much to him. And so like I was a good friend to him, and I do care about him. And I wasn't just like flippant about putting him in danger, and
all of this is illustrated by real pictures of Sam Lake.
I know! Oh, it's good as hell.
Really giving like Gordon Cole in Twin Peaks season 3 energy.
Yes,
this entire game.
That's so true. I think also this is the like I don't know if I ever wrote about this. One of the things that's really cool about American Nightmare, even though I just like shat on that game earlier. One of the things that's cool about it is like the like Uncanny Valley stuff, the way it leans hard into that like the real Alan Wake is this weird computer man, and the fake Alan Wake is like a real guy, like that you're watching on TV, right? That's like that has sort of a simulacrum of reality, right? Yeah. And the way this game plays with that kind of tension, right? Because there's a lot of live action footage of everybody, basically, of pretty much every principal character. Right. And that just like constant flipping between the things, the distance between like real and unreal. It's just really nice. It's really artful. And I also think like we've talked before about like the thing that I think makes Remedy cool developers to me is that they have like an eye, or at least up to a certain point. I think also it kind of ebbs and flows because I think they have this like Max Payne 2 kind of lose it in Alan Wake and kind of re-get it by Control, but like a good eye towards images and stuff. And I think the FMV work in this is just incredible. Like miles above anything they've ever done, basically.
It's insane. Right? Yeah.
Because I played fucking Quantum Break, which looks like a sci-fi original TV show.
So bad.
And so going from that and to this is so like, holy shit. There's like a 20-minute art film in the middle of this movie, and it's pretty good. It's pretty damn good.
Yeah. Okay. The multiple things I want to talk about, like branch out from here. Mm-hmm. There's a scene in Alan Wake's like dream world thing where like there's a fake Alex Casey who's voiced by Sam Lake.
Oh yes.
And then he gets shot and dies.
Well, I love that part because you God, it's just a funny little gag. So there's like a menu for for using like keys on doors and shit like that, like adventure game shit, pulling something out of your inventory to use it on something. And so this Alex Casey's like tied up. And he's like, oh no, don't kill me. Don't like use me as part of some ritual sacrifice. And you go up to him and there's like the menu for like clicking on an item. And then like as he's talking, like a literal spotlight shines on a big old knife that's like behind a bookcase. Or like, because you're in like some film archive. So it's like all these reels of film, in metal cases and stuff. So you go up there and grab the knife and then he just like books it as you're like turning around the corner. Which I think is funny. Nice, like, because I think a more hack game would make you kill him, I think it works so much better as just, like, a little joke than it does as, like, look at how sick and twisted Alan Wake is now from being in the dark place, right? Like you get that in so much more interesting ways later and before that, right?
Yeah.
So it's so nice that just gets to be funny.
Oh yeah, in my brain I remember him dying, but I guess not.
he might get shot later, like the Grandmaster, who you know, I think there is something like that.
Alex Casey dies a lot in this game, to be fair.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
that dude be dying.
Yeah. Well, and also it's like because Sam Lake is the name of the guy who's like the actor in the movies, the Alan Wake movies, which maybe aren't real ? Or no, wait, are they? I don't remember. I don't remember if it's like Barry sold the rights and it's just been like sitting on that money, because that might be an element of that stuff, but I don't super remember.
He's just Max Payne.
Yes, yeah, straight up.
It's like you go to New York and it's him.
Yeah. Well, and it's the like fucked up New York that's in Max Payne 2 in the like Twin Peaks show. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I think the like way because in some ways this is like the culmination of all that, of all Remedy stuff. And I think it's interesting that like there was like a statement from Sam Lake that's like, oh, like Max Payne and Quantum Break are not part of the like Remedy universe, right? And that is like only true in the most technical ways possible, right? That it's like, yeah, like whatever the fuck the guy from Quantum Break is not a character in this game, right? And like there's not a guy named Max Payne, and like the events of Max Payne didn't happen in it. But in basically every way, like in terms of personality, in terms of like aesthetic and format, they're here, right? And I think that's actually kind of nice that it's both like, I don't know, it's not just the brand that gets transferred over, right? It's this aesthetic lineage that it's gestured towards.
It's the
right.
like exactly. It's just like which what's the word for it? Like pastiche are we gonna pull from?
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Rather than like we're building all the IP in the universe is gonna culminate.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so far there's only 2, right? And also there's like, obviously this is a relationship of control, like the Federal Bureau of Control is in it. Jesse's briefly seen, there's some references to Casper Darling. Like you find a book that he's written or something, you know? Shit like that. But it doesn't really matter, and you can not have played Control and get a lot out of this game, I think.
The thing, okay. I'm really, really mixed on how Ati is utilized in this game.
Yeah. Talk more about it.
The more he becomes important, the more I don't like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like him when he's like singing. He has the Nightless Night song, which slaps.
Oh,
it goes
which bangs.
so hard.
Yeah.
It's so
totally.
good. It's like good and like moody and like is perfect.
Yeah, what's very is it Julian Cruz who's the like Twin Peaks, who sang the Twin Peaks theme?
Oh, Julie Cruz.
Julie Cruz, yeah. It's kind of that sort of vibe, I think.
Yeah. So that stuff is fine. I just him like being like guiding Alan and being like central to like the events on screen, I just find really grating. Yeah,
I don't know if I feel that strongly about it. I'm also getting a little giddy talking about this game in a way that I'm like, I had some grievances about the multiverse stuff, and I literally cannot remember them now. And I do have them. They are real. Like but I just can't quite tap into it. This is like the perils of talking about a game like one day after you finished it, right? Which is always which is a constant peril for me on this podcast because I can never get it done in time. But yeah, I do think that like I like the way that he is mysterious, and I think there is a little bit because there's even in the Nightless Night film, which is like a film that Thomas Zane made, right?
Yeah, he's almost
he's like an Ati origin story almost, where he's like, yeah, like maybe I should get a job with the FBC like you, you know, and stuff. And like that stuff, I don't really like the idea of it being like, it's like when there's like the Pennywise thing, or it's like, oh yeah, Pennywise was like this guy also. And like there was actual Pennywise the dancing clown. And I'm like, I don't care about that at all. You know, like I also don't really like that Pennywise is like a meteorite, you know, or whatever happens in that book. But you know, just that like the stuff where Pennywise is this weird thing that exists like beyond imagination is really evocative and interesting. And the more you start to explain, well, actually Pennywise is like this incarnation of evil, like from beyond time. And it, like the more that stuff kind of creeps in, the harder it is for me to like get wrapped up into it, you know? Mm-hmm. And I think generally that stuff has a pretty light touch here. It doesn't feel too explanatory, right?
Yeah. I complimented the way in which this game handles race earlier, and now I have to come down with a criticism.
Okay.
Which is Mr. Door, Orland Door. He's great. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
But like a late game revealed that he might be related to Saga, and like also like
I did not pick up on that at all. Anyway.
Also like borrowing like Stephen King magical black person stuff happening is off-putting.
Yeah, so. That makes a lot of sense. I did not pick up on the like they might be related thing, because there's this scene where him and Alan have this like confrontation basically. And there's some like Tor talks about Saga's father, and this is the stuff that I'm talking about, where it is like there's gonna be another game with Saga in it, and you're gonna find out about her dad, and I don't care, you know. Well, and maybe they could get me to care, right? But like right now, I'm like, I see that you're doing sequel bait, and I just don't want that, you know.
There's a string of side missions you can do in this game that are like little like doll things that you like. Yeah. You like read poems and you align the dolls to what they signify in the poem. And if you go along that side quest and do the last one requires a doll that is within an FBC briefcase.
Right. Oh my God.
He looks like Warland Door, and he represents the father.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
yeah, this completely went over my head. Thank you for bringing. That's very good note. I was gonna say that Door is one of the things that I think is picked up from Quantum Break, basically. Yeah. In that he's
100% the alternate universe in which why am I blanking on the name?
Lance Riddick.
Yes, the alternate universe where Lance Riddick is in this game.
Oh yeah. We should shout out the other guy whose name I don't know, unfortunately.
David Harewood.
He's great. He's fantastic.
He's so good.
Yeah. Like he also has a great. I mean, I was surprised at Alan Wake. Everyone has great voices in that musical sequence. Yeah. Like, everyone's in fine form. And he's a great voice. It is so fun, and I love that like that turn when he's like this charming late night host and like trying to help Alan out, and then when he becomes menacing and sort of like starts talking to him, like that's really well executed. But yeah, Martin Hatch's Lance Riddick's character in Quantum Break, and is by far my favorite thing about that game. He is so fucking cool. It's like that. Quantum Break is a game that's like kind of mixed generally and has like a few really cool ideas, and like Martin Hatch is basically, but he's like this guy who's kind of beyond time. Like anyway, it doesn't really matter, but that he can like move between worlds. There's some ambiguity about like late in the game he's killed, but it also seems like it is him, you know, but then he shows up later. He's like the whole second, you know, there's a big sequel tease about like, are you going to team up with Martin Hatch, you know, and stuff like that. And so basically they import that relationship with Sheriff Breaker, who's played by the same actor as the guy as the Quantum Break guy, and is like, I have this mysterious connection with Door, and I don't know what it is, and I don't know, like, he's some sort of like being who can move between worlds and like do all this stuff, and I don't know what my connection with him is. And basically it's like this relationship that begins to get set up in Quantum Break is just imported into this. And a lot of the like kind of pseudoscience, like because Quantum Break's kind of a hard science fiction thing, not like it's pretty gestural, but I mean in that it's like trying to ground itself in this. It's not very mystical, right? It's a little more practical. And that stuff is kind of excised from it, right? And I think that that's just really smart. And that's something that was like a relationship and a thing that I was really interested to, like that I was kind of, even though I didn't really like Quantum Break that much, that I was like, oh, it would have been cool if they got to make this. And I think it's just cool that they were like, oh, we'll just bring it in. We'll just import it and we'll do different stuff with it and kind of improve on what came before. I think that's just really neat. But yeah, I think your criticisms are well stated there for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh man. I mean, there's plenty. I'm just like, I shouldn't have worn a bra. My chest is all tight. Yeah. Well, I guess we've talked a lot about narrative stuff. Should we talk about game stuff? Not to divide it that harshly. I think.
Wait, no.
Okay.
Because the first thing you do in this game is play as naked Detective Nightingale, stumbling out of the beach, and then he gets killed, and then he comes back to life as like the Taken.
Yeah.
And what the fuck does he say to you?
No, I don't remember.
He calls you an author's name. I think he called you Hemingway.
Yes. That's so good. The other thing I forgot to mention is that the Koskavela brothers who run the like all these ill-advised business ventures, they are like the heads of the cult, and the cult was actually not killing people, it was preventing people from becoming taken who come out of the lake, right? And so like in the process it kills them kind of, but it's like they were already gone basically. They're like, zombified, right? And that's, they have the clicker so they can use it to like, they do the thing that Alan Wake does to Barbara Yeager at the end of Alan Wake, where they like put the clicker into their heart and stuff. What was I gonna say? Oh, just I didn't have as much trouble with you, or like I don't know exactly how you feel about this because I think we first talked about it when you were first playing it, but the like bullet sponginess of the enemies, that everyone takes a lot of hits. You did eventually switch it to story difficulty, right? Because I stayed on normal, I think.
I switched it to story.
Yeah, but that boss battle with Nightingale was like brutal.
Yeah.
And I didn't have as much trouble with anybody like after that for whatever reason, but that was like a pain.
I had trouble with the lamp lady.
Oh, Cynthia? Yeah.
Cynthia,
I think that took me just like 2 tries. So it wasn't so bad. But yeah. Oh god, that's also the Cynthia stuff is so sad. Not that it's like she's like a super important character or anything, but that like she did nothing but help Alan, and then like the way he writes her into the story is just for her like to fail, right? To like give him the lamp that he needs so that then she can be eaten by the dark presence that she's been running from her whole life. Like that is just so woof.
Yeah.
So I was just going to say, one of the other big problems, I guess I have 2 big criticisms of the way this game plays. The first is that there's a lot of collectibles in this game, and you cannot move fast. Like, it's not even just that there's not fast travel, it's that, like, the game is really slow. And I think that that's great for when you're actually playing it, and when you're doing stuff that's, like, story mode and, like, moving in sort of the cinematic... Well, not cinematic. I mean that in like the gamey way. That's not really cinema, right? But like, going through the story in a linear way, I think it works perfectly. It's paced well. It's great. But then when you have to like go backtrack through an area to get like some lunch boxes or whatever, it is a pain in the ass. And I kind of just wish this game didn't have collectibles at all. I don't think it's suited to it. I don't think it needs it. I think it should just not be there.
I didn't have a problem. I didn't have a problem with it. As somebody who got all the achievements in this video game.
Oh yeah, I didn't quite manage that.
I thought it was fine. The only thing I didn't like was having one exit point per level.
Right.
Because you only have one car. And of course you can only travel to a different location if you have a car.
Right.
That sucks.
Yeah, no.
Otherwise, I thought it was fine because I think there's a really good sense of space in this game.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
And I just felt like by the time like I was done collecting things, I had a good feel for the space and where everything was.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's open, but it's not like it's not an open world. It's
no,
just,
certainly not. Yeah.
There are like 3 or 4 main maps that you like explore. And I just felt like
I think it's also interesting, like Remedy games operate in this kind of weird space where I guess post Quantum Break, because Quantum Break is just clearly like a big expensive first party title, and it has all these weird budget limitations, but that's because they were trying to make a TV show and a video game at the same time, right? Or all that stuff is on the game, the TV side, not on the game side. The game is really lavish and expensive, right?
Shout outs to Remedy looking at like early 2010s of Microsoft and being like, oh, you guys want to do TV? Well,
we're your people. Yeah.
We got an idea.
Well, because apparently that was actually the original pitch for Alan Wake 2, was that it would be kind of a TV show. Yeah. Anyway. And that's what Quantum Break came out of, that idea. But I forgot what I was going to say.
We were talking about the levels.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I think I agree with you in that I think, like, I loved every space moving through it for the first time. And then got just, I don't know. It's weird. I'm not usually like this about video games. And part of it is I think sometimes with the collectibles, especially with this, where you have the big sheet and it's like and the like little folder turns green when you like get all the that stuff. It's just kind of compulsive to me. And I just don't like that feel, especially like at a certain point where I was like kind of on a deadline and I was like, I'm going to get every one of these lunch boxes. God damn it. And like that feeling of being compelled, I just found like really unpleasant. And that's a broader issue than this game. And also this game is like a not very egregious example of it. Like it's not that hard to get everything right. But like, and part of it is just like playing Control, where it's like Control is, as fast travel is super easy to move around in. And so like going to an area and just like picking up some shit is like really fun to me. Whereas this, it's like, I really like it when I'm doing the like bespoke level design. And then when I have to go back through the space again, it feels a little bit perfunctory.
The stuff you pick up in Control doesn't matter.
I know, but it's good.
No, it's not. Like in this game, like if you pick up like a battery, that means a lot.
Yes.
Compared
that's
to
fair.
like picking up an upgrade. Like who gives a shit?
Right.
I like there's like the cult has like crates where they put like stuff in, and there'll be like fun notes where it's like we'll have people commentating on the quality of the puzzle.
Yes.
Or they'll just be like, why do we have to do these puzzles?
Yeah,
and then one of them is just like, hey, I actually like this one this time.
Yes, yeah.
That's pretty fun.
Well, some of them were algebra problems, and then they're like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, making me do algebra.
Yeah.
Well, and this is the thing, is I'm also like, I'm kind of determined to at least try something before looking it up, so I was like I was like trying to remember how algebra works for like the first time in 12 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think the collectibles in that way are like super clever, right? Like they're very like smart iterations of this kind of thing. I just like, I think I do just prefer the game when it's moving,
That being said,
go ahead.
Yeah,
No, go
enemies take way too much damage in this game for me.
ahead. Yeah.
To me. I don't need the Alan Wake game where you're managing ammo. I just don't need it.
Right. And I think I don't know. I've been wondering if I just have patience for bullshit. Like that might be just it. That it's just like, I don't mind. Like, I don't mind when an enemy takes forever to kill. Like, that was the Nightingale fight was like the one time where that it did start to grate on me. But even then, it was kind of scary. Like, there was something about like it taking so long.
It's a good set piece, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's a really cool set piece. And so I think that like that, there was something that added to it. But I agree that it's also, I'm not really here to count bullets and shit, you know?
Well, when I think about something like Signalis, right?
Yeah.
Like, this game and Signalis both have the thing where, like, you pull the trigger and you get the gun fucking goes pop and it feels good.
Yeah.
But in Signalis, enemies fucking go down. And that doesn't happen here.
Right. And there's a lot of, like, I think it's also kind of tough to manage large groups for this reason.
Oh, yeah.
And I think like, and there's some stuff where it's like I got an ability where you can like, if you get a double headshot, then the enemy will stagger and stuff like that. So there's ways you can like manage and kind of crowd control.
I just think if the enemy's staggered, it just make the game better.
Right. Yeah.
You know, because right now there's no trade-off to spending bullets other than to kill the guy.
Mm-hmm.
But if the trade-off is like, I'm gonna shoot this guy and then I'll get out of this room,
right?
That's better than just like spending your bullets and then be like, shit, I have no more bullets.
Yeah, so I think that is the thing is there's not. Sorry, there's not like a room structure, you know, to this game. So it is like you can, and like I did like walk around enemies and stuff like that. You can evade people, and there's even the thing you get from doing the poems is you pick up little charms that give you special abilities, and one of them is like deal damage to enemies who aren't aware of you, like deal extra damage. And so it's not like, oh, it has like a stealth thing. It's not really that. It's just that like you can negotiate around encounters, but it's not the same thing as in Signalis where it's like you exit the room and you're good, right? Because the spaces are like generally more wide open. The space, like it's harder to like contain yourself in them, and enemies will move through doors and shit. Like it's not, you know, it's not as locked off. At least that's maybe, I don't know, maybe that's not true because I just killed everything. Generally speaking, I didn't really like explore.
Yeah, there's instances where you have to kill everybody to progress. Right.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot where you don't.
Yeah.
I also. It took me a long time to figure out how the flashlight worked in this game.
Yeah.
Because I would aim it at an enemy, but I like the flashlights are like segmented. So like once you spend part of that like segment, like it's gone. So like I didn't realize that because like in the first Alan Wake it's more gradual.
Yes.
But this is more like you use the flashlight, you use the chunk of your battery type of deal.
Yeah.
Whereas you can manage it a little bit more freely in the first one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it took me a while to realize like what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
Why am I running out of battery so fast?
Yeah, which is actually a change I like. Like I like that it's a little bit clearer how everything is laid out, and it feels like you can kind of resource manage a little bit stronger. Although I also, well, actually, no, I was about to say something I think is not true because I think I did really panic when I ran out of battery, which happened a few times. But then usually it's like, oh, I have a flare or I have a flash grenade or something. There's ways to like things you can do when you don't have a battery.
Flares that become like the Resident Evil knife when you get grabbed by an enemy is so cool.
That's sick as hell. That. Yeah. Well, also, it also just feels better. Like, I don't think this is like especially like thrilling shooter, but like the sound that it makes when the like shadow armor pops off of an enemy and stuff like that, like really nice. Everything has a nice punch to it, and also like this is the thing I'll also say about like the picking up stuff. Like all the weapon upgrades are really meaningful. and like encourage you to play in a slightly different way. Like it's nothing. I don't know. I just don't. I don't think it's like mind blowing, but I think it's well crafted, right? And everything is sort of, and it doesn't have the like, because I think the thing about the control stuff for me is like that's kind of frictionless. So it's like the stuff where it's like when it's fiddly like that and it is an actual obstacle to you playing the game and doing things, like that's when I sort of grate against it. But at control, it's like it doesn't matter that much, and the game can get kind of hard by the end, but it's like not that big of a deal, you know. It's not like, oh, if I change what like equipments I have on my shotgun, then that's gonna make it so I can win the situation, right? It's not really like that. And so I just kind of don't mind that stuff doesn't matter so much. But here it's like the upgrade system is like it's just nice. Like it's well done. And I think I just wish it was presented a little bit differently. And
I barely used it, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, you don't really have to.
Especially with like the Allen, you just don't need it, period.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, your revolver is so powerful to start.
Yeah. That and like you're getting the new weapons pretty regularly. And I mean the bulk of the gameplay is just solving puzzles and watching videos. So
yes, yeah.
Complimentary.
Oh yeah.
Because we haven't talked about this, but sorry.
No, go ahead.
The way this does the same thing that Control does, which is having the FMV silhouettes in the game world, but they're like, but it's just better because they're like fixed to like different locations within a space.
Yeah.
So you're like, so depending on the angle, like they're just situated. Whereas in Control, it was like overlaid because they give you a lot more camera control in Control.
Yes, yeah.
And so it kind of just needs to be that way. Here is like the way like you unlock scenes and progress is like you shine a light through like these echoes where it's just like you match the shadow and the light and it turns into a scene. And then it'll have like FMV silhouettes of like Alex Casey talking to some guy or like, you know, some other scene going on. And the way it just seamlessly, the FMV just like blends into all the environments I so good. I love it so much.
Well, the only thing I was just gonna say is that I think the like, and I wish I could articulate this a little bit more sharply, but I think the way you interface with the story in terms of like stuff you do when you're not fighting, when you're not doing like traditional game shit, is like the best that Remedy games have ever been at doing this kind of thing. There's a lot of stuff like this in Quantum Break where it's like you are just in a room and you have to like go flick switches and like watch cutscenes, right? And for whatever, and part of it is that I'm just more interested in what's emotionally going on with Alan Wake and all this stuff, right? Like I'm already kind of invested. Like I mean, you know, unlike some people on this podcast, I'm a fan of the first game and I'm invested in like just to start, right? And that is part of it. But I do think it's just like the way you interact with that stuff just shapes so nicely. And I think that's part of it, that like it's so wrapped up in the environments you're in, which are usually really interesting places and feel like they have a history, whether that's like emotional, psychological, or like practical, right? I love that this game, and maybe this is like normal video game stuff, but the way that like Bright Falls is very lovingly recreated, you know? And that like when there's a different building, when there's like a different building, it just, it's like explains, they built this in 2015, you know? And stuff like that, like is so lovely. And I think that grounding in the space really helps that stuff really sing, I think.
Mm-hmm. I'm not a fan of Alan Wake 1, but I'm a fan of the story of Alan Wake 1 as retold in this game.
Yes, yeah. The story of the journey of Alan Wake, the musical.
Everybody knows about the fucking musical. It's great.
It's good. Yeah.
The thing I love about it is the game keeps making you think it's over when it's not.
Yes, yeah.
It does this a couple times, but like when you, because at a certain point it like tells you to go in the closet and do something, and then you interact with the thing in the closet, and then the closet just like all the pieces of like it like turns into a set. All the pieces just like pull up as you're back on the soundstage.
Yes, yeah. Oh,
It's so funny. And then there's the fucking jazz part.
Yeah.
The jazz part kicks in, and you're like, Jesus Christ, this game.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. This kicks off one of the criticisms I have. I think I kind of wish that you didn't get to switch between the characters at any point. That it just had like set markers where you switch between them.
I think I agree with this.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I think they wanted something to market this game with.
Yes, yeah. And it's not terrible, right? This is not a deal breaker, but I just think like the opening of the game is like didn't really grab me, but I think works really well in retrospect. Like I feel like that there's an element of this. It's not like a slow burn exactly, but it is pretty deliberately paced. And that stuff ends up really paying off and really working for me. And like I eventually like appreciated how like the stuff with Saga, how that develops kind of gradually, right? That that ended up feeling really impactful because of that. And I just think it would maybe sing a little bit more if it was, because I think the end of this game is so strong. And like, I just think that sense of pacing is so key to making that sing. And I also think it was kind of weird that like I opted like for Alan Wake the musical and then left. And it felt like almost like this individual thing that was kind of separate from everything. And I think I read something that was actually almost cut, which is kind of wild. But it makes sense that you could remove it and nothing really changes about the game except that you lose something that's really cool, right? Mm-hmm. And so I just wish that stuff was like a little bit more cleanly integrated, I think.
A couple things. One, the when they do the Alan Wake 1 story, and the shadows give him a bottle of wine and flowers, and he just smiles. It's one of the funniest jokes in this game.
Oh my god, that's so good.
It's so good.
I love the shadows that are wearing all the like depending on which phase of the story you're in, it's all the like related, you know, because they have like the little werewolf hands or whatever in the first part when he's a kid, and then it's like press and paparazzi when he's like getting success as a writer, and then it's, you know, like tool belts and safety vests when it's you know, the events of Alan Wake 1. That stuff is really funny. I also just the so sad but true
but true
is so sorry, I have a pen in my hand and I was clicking it and absentmindedly, and that's gonna fuck up part of the recording, so I don't want to do that.
The fact that sequence ends and then it goes back to the studio, and the like end part of that is shot like you're playing Guitar Hero.
Yes.
It's really good.
It's very good. Yeah. Should we talk a little bit about the music in this game? So I actually realized that I think I have
one more thing to add that's not musical related.
Yeah.
Is I definitely remember this was gonna happen either way. We're all over the place, but there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
I remember hating the Saga stuff very early on.
Right.
It wasn't until those two plots like converged where I felt better about it, but like just going to a place and then having to pull up the stupid board and then having to place the objects on the board and then like doing and then there was like a puzzle. I don't know if this was a bug, but like in Coffee World, I couldn't like do a puzzle that I already knew how to solve until I put it together in the mind board, and that was so frustrating.
Yeah, I just never ran into that. No, I think the mind place is like I like that Alan and Saga both have their own places that they go to. And I also underrated pause menus where you're just a guy moving around. Sick.
Yeah.
Right? Like, very cool. And I also like that you can go there and, like, listen to the music or watch the videos again or whatever, right? Like, that stuff is cool. But yeah, I think I agree that it's, like, kind of clunky and cumbersome. And it feels like a lot of it is kind of like... I don't know. I mean, it's almost... I think... I think this game could use an editor, I guess, is also, like... There's a lot of sort of redundancies, particularly early on, in terms of, like, setting up emotional stuff, right? Or just, like, general things, you know? And I think, like, the Saga, like, the mind play stuff is emblematic of that, where it's, like, you find something out in the game, and then you have to go inside and put it on the board, and she'll just say it again, and then you go out and, like, you know, there's sort of a... It takes a while. And I don't know that it needs to, you know?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure if you just play the fucking game, it'll do... Like, there are parts, like, it does it automatically, but you still have to watch the game do it automatically.
Right, yes,
which sucks. Because I'm fairly certain what I ran into was a bug. Because, like...
Yeah.
Plenty of other places in the game where I didn't have to do the board before I progressed.
Right.
But, besides the point, like, it felt more natural because like Alan's mind place is the writer's room. It just made narrative sense.
Right.
But with Saga, I was just like, this is going to be a device that they use in the third act for a narrative payoff, and they did.
Yes, Which I do think I like that sequence. I was actually surprised.
It's good.
At how...
No, it's good. I really like that part. But I was just like, I've played video game before. I called it.
Yeah, I was really surprised at how much the like I don't know, the like we have to forgive each other so that we can make things better stuff like hit for me. Like I don't know, and there's maybe complicated stuff with that. I don't know, but just that like Saga being like, I am not perfect, but I am worthy of this moment, and I can rise up to it. And that's like the corniest, like we saying that out loud is like
it's such like it is such like, you know, how people talk about Celeste being a big game about depression is like on paper it's like on paper what that sequence is, but it's still a hit for me.
Yeah, well, I think part of it is that like I recently replayed Celeste, and not to like be...
Celeste is great, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Celeste is... I just think I don't identify with the way that game does mental health stuff.
Yes, yeah, I'm very much with you.
It's more what I mean.
No, well, I think part of it is that like Saga struggles with that stuff. It's not... Like, a lot of the Celeste stuff is kind of weirdly like metaphorical or diffuse, and there's a way that like... She doesn't really like... I'm forgetting what her name is. Madeline. She doesn't really have like a life outside of the... And like it's gestured at, but it's not really there. And the way that like Saga is like... There's all this stuff that leads up to that moment. And then that like it intersects with it. It feels very real, and it feels very much like I'm interacting with like a real person's like human struggles. Right. As opposed to sort of like a metaphorical idea of like what depression is like. Right.
Well, it's also that because the dark present gives her negative thoughts.
Yes. No. Yeah. I'm not saying it's not that, but I feel like there's.
But I just think it's better. Here.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. No, I like it too.
Helps to have a smiling picture of Sam Lake as one of your positive thoughts.
Yes. Well, and then he's like, and he's like, I wish I could do a good impression of. He's like, it really meant a lot to me when you like introduced me to your kid and like had me over for spaghetti.
Oh my god, going from this to Max Payne 3 is so crazy.
Well, I think that's the thing. I do not like Max Payne 3.
It's terrible.
I guess I'm just staking my because like people are really into it, and it has its virtues. I really like I like the health soundtrack.
Well, you go from Alex Casey talking to a lesbian about their ex-wife to like this place is like Baghdad with a G-strap. It's like not in the same realm.
It's like wild the way that the like reading press from that period that's like, this is so like, it's so like humanizing of like third world countries that it's like, bro, what are you talking about?
What are you saying? Yeah.
Because it is like, I mean, like, we're going on a whole Max Payne 3 tangent. But I think that's the thing is like, there's so much stuff in Max Payne 1 and 2 that I really like. And it's just not, like, there's this weird thing where it kind of is like, what if the story of Max Payne 1 and 2 were like super serious? And like, should be taken. And I'm like, what are you talking about, Rockstar? Like, they're goofy. And like, there's emotional resonance in them. Like, I think they're well done video games, you know, and there's stuff in it that really hits for me. Right? Like, I'm not saying that like Max Payne is not cool and good. I'm just saying that it's like, it is silly.
But his name is Max Payne.
His name is Max Payne. And the game is not like, it's
Mona Sachs.
Mona Sachs. It just feels like, it's like, I don't know, this is something else. And I just also hate the like Rockstar centrist line. You know, it sucks. I hate it. It's bad.
Oh, also, anytime that this video game, Alan Wake 2, shows you a poster for Cold Casey,
yes!
I lost it.
The thing is, people would do something like that. Well, I was imagining like the teaser trailer where it's like Alex Casey, and then it like fades into Cold Case, you know, and then like Y's so like a flame that snuffs out or whatever, right? Yeah.
Cold Casey is so fucking funny.
Yeah. The like, yeah. Well, I also just love the like pontificating Max Payne monologue shit. It's just good every time. It's so good. And I think part of it is you have to take it just seriously enough, you know.
Yeah.
And I think the stuff in here just it works as like a, you know, them doing that pastiche again. I think it totally sings.
I'm curious because like I played Max Payne 2 after I played this game, so
oh shit, yeah.
I'm curious how that stuff is gonna land after the one on it because they're doing a new Game Plus patch.
Right,
and they have like new story stuff to go with it. People like data mine cutscenes and shit.
Oh,
but
sick.
I'm gonna wait for the patch to replay it.
Yeah.
So I'm curious how that stuff's gonna land because I also didn't know at the time that it's literally the voice actor for Max Payne.
Oh yeah.
So like going on that trip was is it was very fun.
Yeah, that's great. I'm really curious about what those remakes are gonna be. Even though it's like, because the thing is, like, I'm both like on principle, like, you don't need to remake those games. They're still so fun and so good, and they look great. You just don't really need to do anything to them. They like totally work, right? And I guess this is like and also I'm like, even if they were like unplayable, it's like I still want the old thing, and I don't want the new thing to replace it. But I am like curious about, are they gonna like film all these dumb TV shows that are on it? Like, I do want to see that, you know. I want to see it, and I'm sorry if that makes me a sellout.
You want you want the actors acting out the stupid like King Bride.
Yes, I want that so bad. And it looks like fucking Bridgerton, you know? Like, that would be good as hell. Please do this. How
are they gonna try to make Mona Sachs sexy is my question.
Oh, you know, that's a good question. Yeah. I couldn't say. Should we talk about
Alan Wake 2?
Should we talk about women? We're gonna talk about women.
Oh my god. The ending of this game, I was like, I finished it, and I was like, man, what a fucking great game. What a great ending. It's so rare that you get good game endings nowadays, you know.
Yeah.
Like she calls and nobody picks up, or like it's ringing and then it cuts to credits. Like the fucking video games, that's gaming.
Yeah.
And then it cuts back to Alice being like, "I'm a secret agent and I've orchestrated all of this." So I'm like, "God damn it!" No!
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Well, I actually, because I kind of called it from that. I was like, well, because you also get some visions of her and shit, you know, as you're like moving through the house. But like, it's also would be nice if it wasn't stated, you know, because it is there already. Like, yeah, like I know she's in Cauldron Lake. I know that this is what is happening, right?
She's wearing like a jacket, like she's a fucking Avengers character. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I hate it. I don't like it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, I feel like I wanna talk about the suicide stuff in this, and I'm not. I guess I'll say the reaction I had, because there's that sequence where you watch like the last documentary clip of her, which also, by the way, all those documentary clips of her just like talking to the camera are incredible. Like this actress.
I fucking hate this fucking.
Yeah, I know.
I hate it.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah. Like whoever's playing Alice, because it is unfortunately
she's
the
really
actress,
good.
The actress who played her in the original Alan Wake passed away in like 2020.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I know you were gonna talk about it, but like,
yeah.
After playing Lane, like,
oh yeah,
the writing in this is like miles, like more elegant and like way better at yeah. No, I just thought it was really good the way it was handled.
Yeah. Well, and that sequence, because the last set of photos are like her jumping off the cliff, right? And it's so I had the same feeling of like watching Matrix Resurrections for the first time. Oh wait, for the only time, and being like, holy shit. Well, because there's just something like so, I don't know, it's hard for me to talk about. Because suicide is simultaneously so taboo and so sensationalized, and so like it's this very complicated rhetorical thing that people do all sorts of things with, and a lot of those things are like really hideous and sort of like grotesque, right? And I don't mean like that suicide is hideous or grotesque, but that people, it's just very complicated, right? And to see something like willing to sort of approach it with this frankness and this like head-on-ness that like, because Resurrection is a similar thing, and there's definitely like room to criticize that, and I think there has been interesting work done kind of trying to like unpack and think about like what that movie's doing with suicide. But like also I was just like shocked that it was like willing to go there and not, you know, I don't know, it's just really powerful to me. And I was like, I just did not expect that would show up in Alan Wake 2. You know, I was really like blown away by it. And I think you're right. I also feel like I missed part of the ending here where like Alice is talking, and maybe I don't know, because I did have like audio glitches throughout this whole game, so there might have been something with that. Like, yeah, when there was like the phone calls during load screens and stuff, it would have like gaps, and the subtitles and the dialogue would be out of sync, and then sometimes if the loading screen like ended before the call was over, it would just cut off. It was like weird shit like that. So it's like possible that I did also have a bit of trouble in the movie theater, just like with glitches stuff. Cause
weird.
Yeah, well, I was playing. You played on Xbox, right? I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was playing on PC, and so I think the load time stuff was not as fast, right? Because I had stuff where it was like I would change the scene, and it would take like 30 seconds for it to actually load in and be different, right? But it depended, because sometimes it was really quick. I think it was just like my machine is like he's like perfectly competent, but not like on the cutting edge. And I think this was a game that demanded like a little bit more than it was like super capable of handling, but also totally could do it. And I think with like a few patches, it'll probably be great, you know? Yeah. Anyway, so I don't know if I have any more thoughts there, but yeah, I think I get what you're saying, and I understand. I just don't know if I like saw the same shit that you did, I guess. And so I'm like,
okay. I'm pulling it up right now.
Because I saw the thing that's like the, you know, when he says it's not a loop, it's a spiral.
Yeah.
I saw that whole thing. But I don't remember
Yeah.
like Alice talking to the screen and being like, I did this to save you and
Oh.
yada, yada, yada.
Well, fuck. Here.
Yeah.
This is this is like important.
Okay. I'm watching. Oh, yeah, she's wearing this jacket. Oh, wait, I remember this shit now.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, her implying that she went to the Bureau of Control is so...
Right.
I don't like it.
I kind of just memory hold this. Also, to be frank, So I live in an apartment that is on the 3rd floor of an apartment building and has lots of windows. And this is a game that you kind of have to play without bright lights.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, we're going to record tomorrow evening. And I don't want to have 2 hours of game to play before that.
Yeah.
Like normally I would just leave it for the afternoon or whatever. But so I it was 11 or 12 p.m. when I became Alan again on the beach and was like, I think I just have to see this through.
Yeah.
And so I stayed up till 1:30 in the morning finishing it. So that was probably because I did see this and I remember her talking about I went to their offices. So yeah, I went to the Bureau of Control. And I think this is what I'm talking about, the sequel teasing shit. That it's I just don't care about that. I like the more gestural, control stuff. I like that there's an FBC agent there. I don't like that there's going to be stuff about Alice in Control too, And that I know that now.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that makes sense.
They're making 2 DLCs for this video game.
Right.
So
yeah, we'll see. I'm just I guess a little nervous that the DLCs are going to be because okay, I'm of 2 minds about the Alan Wake 1 DLCs, which I both think are that has the best level design in the game. Right, and it's a couple really great moments. There's a great exchange between Tom and Alan, and there's the tape with Alice that you talked about on the episode, right? That's really good. But also the plot does not advance in those at all. They just don't matter.
Sure.
Even to this game where it's basically Alan is in the same point where he starts at the beginning of that DLC at it midway through this game, right? And in some ways at the end of this game. Oh, also. Yes. Speaking of which, I love that final phone call from Alan to Alan. And where Alan's I'm never going to get out of here. And he's like, yes, you will. And no, you won't. And I'm sorry for what you'll have to go through. That shit hits.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so women,
right? God. So I just gonna say I really like Rose in this game a lot. We talked about this before.
She rules.
She's so cool. Because I think I think this is one of the things we've talked about this before, but it's you can really tell that post Quantum Break that there are women on the staff writing narrative, working on the narrative. And I think Rose in particular is one of the things where that really shows up, right? Because she's such a device and sort of a blank slate character in 1. And here she's so textured. She's so much kind of interesting things going on. And I love the way that because there's sort of this Alan writes Saga and he's haunting Alice and just doesn't care about Rose and is not thinking about Rose at all, but that she is more on to him than anyone else in a certain degree. I mean, she obviously idealizes him, but she knows what's happening in the town and she knows all these things and she has this knowledge about what is going on that nobody else can have. And the way that it sort of gives that to her, even though she attributes it to Alan, right, is really, I don't know, there's something really nice about that, about the way that this whole thing is structured, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's really lovely.
I think it's sick when you say a code word to a character and they're like, oh,
yes,
sick.
Why? But it's I love that it's Alan didn't tell her that.
Yeah.
That it's just she knows that there's going to be a hero in his dumb book because, of the manuscript she's seen and all this other stuff, right? I just think that is, yeah. I also love her being at the like when you go into the karaoke bar or whatever in Watery, and there's all those like things that pop up to talk to people, and I like talk to Rose, and she's like, "Shut up, Ati's singing." it's just good. Yeah, and I like her little notes in the lunchboxes too, and her little Alan Wake fan fiction stuff. Is cute.
Like that she has the standee from the first game.
Yes, she has her little shrine still. Oh my god, it's so I don't know. I just think it's good.
What was I gonna say? Oh, did you see the mayor?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, love it.
That's very good.
You get you see all these like stands for like vote for the mayor. He's gonna do this and whatever.
Yeah, Mayor Setter won't roll over on the issues.
That's right.
Right. Yeah.
And you just meet Mayor Setter, and he's just a dog. and then you pet the dog.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's good. Yeah. Well, there is or was a small town in America that has a dog mayor, right? I'm not like making that up.
I have no idea.
I believe there is.
Probably.
I believe this is a thing you can look up. So it's, yeah. Did you get all the deer heads?
No. What happens when you get all the deer heads?
So, back at the lodge.
Because okay, one thing though, before you say, like,
yeah,
me pausing the game, going to the deer, and just hearing Saga in the weirdest voice imaginable, being like 6 left. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I only got that when there was one left.
And then I was like, oh, she keeps petting the deer. That must be what that is.
Yeah,
but the game never tells you.
No, it's very much.
So yeah, what happens?
So you back at the lodge, there's like that hallway where Casey's room is, and there's just like, a bunch of hotel rooms in the lodge in Bright Falls. And once you pet all of the taxidermy heads, when you walk back that hallway, there's just a deer standing at the end, and it goes into a room, and then you can go in there, and there's like a shit ton of items, and that's it.
Oh.
So it's like but it's like cute, it's just like understated, right? And that was the collectible that I had the least trouble getting, because I just got all of them except one, like naturally. And then I was like, oh, I think like there's a deer, like I didn't pet, because the mine place is based on that room in the lodge. And so it's like, oh, I didn't pet the deer head that's in there. And so I bet that's the last one. And so I just went there and did that and then got it.
Yeah, I put it together way too late in
right
playthrough that I was on, so I was just like,
yeah, I could get it next time,
cool,
and it doesn't super matter. Yeah,
it just threw me for a loop because I kept hitting the button because she kept being like 6 remaining. I'm like, what are you talking about?
What do you fucking mean by that?
And it was like so ominous. I'm like, what the fuck? That's cool though. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, manuscripts don't count for achievements in this game.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
I also, like the first game, have not read all of them.
Oh, I read. I think I read all the ones I picked up. And yeah, I also think generally I think just the writing. I mean, the writing across the board is better, but I think the writing of the manuscript pages is better. And I like the thing where stuff is scratched out and written in, and it's sort of like what was there before? What was horrifying about it that Wake wanted to repress, or whatever? What's going on? I think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I also think there's something too. Like we talked last time about Serial Experiments Lane being like a multimedia project, and that is Remedy Games at this point. Yes,
100%. Yeah, but I also like that it's. Oh, sorry. Keep going.
Yeah, no, you go ahead.
Just that, like, I like that it is a multimedia project, but it's all contained in one thing, and that it's not like, oh, I have to go listen to a podcast, or I'm going to watch the Halo show on Paramount Plus, or whatever the fuck, right? That it's all sort of in one object, and it just is interested in a lot of different ways of presentation.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And I just think it's a good video game trait to have. Like, I mean, like, you know, say what you will about Kojima, but like, people like those games in part because of that. Even though like gamers would complain about how many cutscenes are in Metal Gear Solid or whatever, it's like, it's cool. It's cool when games are like interested in things that are not games and have like lots of investment in them, you know. It's neat. And it's not that every game has to do exactly that, but like, it's cool. I just like it a lot. And
Yeah, I just think like, I don't know. I would take a billion Remedy games over one Kojima game every day of the week.
Damn,
but I'm kind of a hater.
Yeah, that's fair.
I like Metal Gear, but it's come on.
No, I think that's I don't know. Because I mean, I
haven't played Metal Gear in a long time.
Yeah,
but
I mean, me neither. I played Metal Gear Solid all the way through the first time fairly recently, but I haven't revisited 2 or 3. And I haven't played 4, and so
when they re-release that shit, oh my god,
I'm kind of excited about it, but
what a dumb game.
Yeah, I know that it's dumb to be like, I know what happens in it. You know,
Big
broadly.
Mama.
Shut up. Oh, yeah, it's man.
What the fuck were we talking? Okay. FMV. So
yeah,
Nightless Night is so good.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
What happens in Nightless Night? So it's Alex Casey is in. It's like a retelling of the intro of the game, basically, right?
Yeah, kinda, yeah.
But Auti's there, and like Alex Casey is like the stand-in for like Nightingale. And Auti and Alex Casey go to a sauna. At some
they
point.
Sure do, yeah. Well, and it's like it's very like it's kind of these weird segments where it's like Casey will get killed and then he'll like wake up somewhere, and this sort of it's very dreamlike, right? And that's part of where like the Nightless Night configuration comes from, is like, I don't know. Yeah, like not being awake. God, did you get this little dialogue sting where Alan Wake is like, in the city where night never ends, they watched the film where night is only in your mind or something like that? That goes fucking hard.
My key experience with Nightless Night. First of all, that entire level is great.
Yes, it's very good. Yeah, I agree.
Though, like, that one and the hotel are just like, that's top tier gaming for me.
Yeah.
Like, not even like the gameplay, but like going into spaces where fucked up shit is happening.
Yeah.
And you're seeing like the after effects of it. I love that shit.
Yeah. No, that's it's a very
this is something that I really, this is something that I really like about The Evil Within 2. Which we'll play eventually, but
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Love it so much.
Yeah.
But then watching Nightless Night, and the fact that it's in Finnish is fantastic.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I was like, I know that this is like, I don't know, this is like the fucking line about Remedies. Like, I can't believe they put this in a video game and this sort of shit. But I was like, wow, they just put an art film in the middle of this. And like, it's optional. Like, you don't have to you can just leave that room, and not watch it. Right. And like, it's just wild to me that they put like that much production and like effort. And it's like it's like, you may not think it's good. I mean, we both clearly really like it. Right. But like, clearly a lot of effort was put into it. And just the fact that it's like, we're going to do this just kind of basically just for the love of the game. Right. There's not really another reason that this is here in a like a gamey sense, right? And certainly not for like plot reasons. This doesn't matter for those terms, really,
I just remember watching and being like, this is still going. This
Yeah.
is still happening.
Yeah. Yeah, well, because I too, as I was like, oh, this is probably going to be like 5 minutes, it's going to be like a little trailer, a little segment. But it's basically
like 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's a complete short film. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it also, I'm curious, I sent it to a friend who's like interested in these games but has not played Alan Wake 2 yet, and I was just like, would you just watch this and tell me what you think about it? Because it's really involved in a bunch of this game shit, but I think it might just work on its own, and I'm just curious how she's going to react to that. So I guess I'll report next time. But
yeah, and I think I have mixed feelings about the way that this game is going to be perceived, and like the like buzz around. Like, this is like, I love this game. It's also like, it is going to win at the Game Awards for something, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And like the aspect of like the way people talk about like, it's, this is unlike any game, etc., whatever.
Right.
But like, and some of the like stuff that they've been saying around this game too is like, it's like we're an A24 for video games sort of thing, which I think it's a little bit cringe, but I understand why you would say that. But they just take all the right things that I would want out of movies and just put it in their game, and it's just good.
Yeah.
So I don't know what else to say.
Right. I think that is because I think even though I was like pretty excited for this, like this and Baldur's Gate 3 weirdly were like two big budget games that were like really popular and have a lot of buzz that I was like kind of hyped for pre-release, right? Which is like, I don't want to say, oh, I'm above being this. Well, like clearly I'm not, but it is not super common for me at this point that I'm like excited about something that's like big and that's about to come out. But even that, like the way this game got a lot of praise at first, like made me nervous more than it made me excited. Yeah.
The GameSpot 10 was crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, Metal Gear Solid 4 got a 10, so what's wrong with this game?
Right, yeah, like that. It's so and I think I do like I do also kind of wish like I had played it more gradually than I did, or like or maybe not even more gradually, but just like more consistently, right? And like a few of the things about like my experience with it that I wish were a little different. But like but yeah, it just really, so I was a little bit nervous going into it, and I was also like I didn't like dislike the early stuff like you did, or like we're having active trouble with it, but like I was pretty lukewarm about it, and it really did just win me over. And I think the last half of this, like because I did the like basically like the sequence where you go to the beach and play the song, and then the theater stuff, and so through that to the end. And basically from that point forward, I just think the game is basically immaculate, right?
Yeah.
Like, yes. I really, and so, yeah, so I think there's like, and I also think it was nice, like, I'm forgetting. Hold on, let me look this up. Oh, yeah, so it's the Eurogamer review of Alan Wake 2 by Alexis Ong, which gave it like 6 out of 10, 3 out of 5, right? Was helped me, like, reading something that took the piss out of it a little bit, I think helped me calibrate my expectations a little bit better, to the point where I could then get really excited about it.
Yes.
Right? Anyway, it's just a good review, and I think people should read it.
Yeah.
And
that that also was very needed in terms of like, okay, I'm not the only one who's like, this saga shit kind of sucks.
Yes, yeah. Right. Yeah, and I think that's
I was glad that I was glad that article was out there for me to be like, okay, I also have this issue with the game.
Right. Yeah. No, and I think it's also, I think certain stuff, I think Disco Elysium was kind of in this position too, where, well, and even like Elden Ring, like, I don't know. I think it's weird being a really critically acclaimed game puts you in like a weird spot, I think, because, and maybe this is maybe more of a virtue of like me being in the circles that I'm in, as opposed to like the broader gaming culture, because like there's not really Baldur's Gate 3 haters in the broader gaming culture, right? Like everyone is just pretty into it. But like I do feel like so much of the discussion around Elden Ring was like in bad faith and like very weird criticisms of it that felt very like strange and sort of ungrounded, even though I think there was like a fuck ton of shit in that game to be like frustrated with, or like, you know, like I just don't think that like there is stuff to talk about, but I felt like sometimes the stuff that people did talk about was weird. And I feel like this is sort of just about thing, but like this happened with Disco Elysium too, where it's like, because the game was so highly praised and because they're like, this is the best written game ever made, and there was this hyperbole around it, I think people did play it and felt deflated. And then some, you know, and then also there was all this discussion about like, is this actually like super problematic, and like the Chapo people being in it and like all this other stuff that was sort of like actually not really about the game, but like, you know, and Alan Wake 2 has not been like a victim of any of that stuff, right? But I do just think like there's so much like meta discussion stuff, and there's like, and because there's so few like genuinely like thoughtful and honest critics in the space, right? It becomes very hard to like sort through that stuff, I think, you know. I don't know if that makes sense. I feel like that was like a little bit all over the place. But just that I'm really frustrated with where games criticism is at broadly, even though I think there were a lot of like really talented people doing this work. And it's frustrating that sometimes it feels like we have to sift through all this other stuff to like get to the good shit, you know? And so I'm glad that there are people who are like doing that work, you know, like Alexis, I think is just like Alexis' review of Banished Vault for Polygon, and I'm friends with Nick who made that game, full disclosure, but like that's a really great piece of writing. And so I'm just glad there are people out there like doing this thing, and you know, and I think this is a game that is worthy of like thoughtful derision, if that makes sense.
Yes.
You know?
Yep.
And I think, you know, in some ways that's a compliment to it, in some ways that's a diss on it, but that's good. I just think it's productive for a game to be in a place where you can be like, this is not my bag, or like, I can't just dismiss it entirely, you know? Whereas I think people, you know, where I can with like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, I don't give a shit. I don't care. You know, like maybe, and there's like, and not that there are people who I think could do interesting work with that game. I'm not saying you couldn't write something interesting about it, but it's just at the end of the day, it's like, this is not an object that's really going to provoke something out of me. And I feel like wherever you land on Alan Wake 2, like it is going to bring something, you're going to have a response to it. And I think that's like, it's a good place for something to be, you know?
Yeah.
And I think
the moment you say we're gonna be like the A24 version of this, I'm gonna come at it with like, it deserves to be looked at like under the same lens then, you know?
Yeah. Well, also I saw Dream Scenario recently, which is like this A24 horror comedy with Nicolas Cage in your dreams and shit. That shit was terrible.
I don't
it was like awful.
That many A24.
Yeah, well, this is what I was saying. It's like, you know, like maybe you're better than A. Maybe, you know, it's like that. If you fucking see this meme that's been going around about picking like your GF for the PS5, I think it's Northern Lion, the streamer, and he's like, you know, I'm like, if it's you or the PS2, like, because that has a library, I just think you should value yourself more, you know, than to compare yourself to a PS5. And that's kind of how I feel about like Remedy being like, we're like A24. It's like, maybe you're better. Maybe you can value yourself more. Yeah.
I fucking hate Ari Aster movies.
Oh yeah, this Dream Scenario movies Ari Aster produced, so there you go. I mean, I like, you know what's good is like Uncut Gems. It's a good movie. It's a 24 movie.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, they got some bangers, but you know, it's also weird. I think I guess I don't know. I guess Remedy is such a weird thing because apparently they have like a live service game and they made that Crossfire X campaign and like a bunch of other stuff. That it's like, I don't really know.
It's also like, it is such. It is. This is like published by Epic.
Yeah.
And like this game, we've been talking about it for 2 hours now, is like oozing with like creativity. And I'm just like, when are the like mass layoffs in the industry and shit? Like, when is this gonna hit? You know?
Well, I think that's also the thing.
Are they safe? Because it doesn't feel like anybody's safe from this shit.
Yeah, I don't know, like, because I don't know how much continuance there has been at Remedy from like Max Payne 1 to now.
Yeah.
But I do think this is a game that directly materially benefits from the fact that they made Quantum Break, right? And that they have all this experience with shit with Quantum Break and can carry that into, and it's just evident like in the thing. And so I don't know, it would be interesting to go into like material history. Like, is the fucking cinematographer on Quantum Break like the same guy who did it for Nightless Night, for example, right? Like, I don't know that. I don't know that there's that direct experience exactly. But like, to me, this is a game that it is this culmination of like 20 plus years of experience. And like, obviously like Sam Blake's job is okay. Like, that guy's not going to get laid off, right? The fact that the studio has had this continuous identity. And this is also one of the things I was going to say earlier is that like, people are like, this is unlike anything else. It's like, that's not true. It's like fucking Max Payne 2.
Yeah.
It is like, you know, they've been doing this kind of thing for a long time. And, you know, and I think it's weird to like not view it in that context, right? And I think in some ways this is like, even though I think Max Payne 2 is still like top 3 Remedy games, probably. Although maybe I like Max Payne 1 better. I don't know.
I played it like last week. Yo, it whips.
It's real good. Yeah. And those are the best action games they've ever made, like easily, no question.
Yeah.
But you know, and so it's like that continuance is so valuable to it. And it just like the idea, like you bring this up, it's like the idea that there are people there who made that maturation happen and who made that continuance happen and made it rich and beautiful and interesting that are just not going to be there in 6 months or whatever. It's like heartbreaking, you know, and that's happening. Like, people are not being able to have that experience at all, right? So often. Right. Like, there should be so many more remedies, right? In terms of like studios that have like really unique and interesting identities, right? And like a particular body of work that shows off that. And like all those studios have been like eaten alive, right? Yeah. And it's just, it sucks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, although also notably, I don't want to be being like, oh, Nintendo is the good one, right? Or like things like that, because people will often talk about like, oh, Nintendo has like this long, you know, like people have like stable careers there, and so that lets them like bring lessons in and stuff. And that's true. I don't mean to like necessarily discount that, but it is like also like a lot of Nintendo's labor is based on like contract workers who do QA and like all this sort of, there's like lots of insidious shit there. And I don't want to be like, oh, Remedy is like beautiful and like exempt from those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. Right. Just to be clear, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that like there are things that make Remedy like unique and interesting as a studio that it's just like too bad that more studios cannot be in the position that they are in. Right.
Yeah. And like is it realistic for this kind of game to continue to exist?
Yeah.
Or when does the money stop showing up, basically?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the fucking double fine thing, you know?
It's also, I don't know, Remedy has had such a weird thing, because I was going to say, like, this is simultaneously, like, this is a really expensive game in many ways, but also, like, there's, like, 3 levels in it, and you use, like, it uses, like, the same, you know, it's, like, 3 levels per character, and you go through the same locations, like, multiple times. Like, it's not, you know, like it's not very big and none of it's like procedurally generated, I would assume. And so that's part of it, is it's both like, yeah, this is clearly an expensive game and it clearly costs a lot of money, but also it feels so much smaller than like other expensive games from this year. Right.
Yeah.
So I can't really speak to like Remedy's sustainability in like environmental sense or any of these senses, right, that you can use that word to talk about. But there is something about this that feels a little bit more like normal to me in terms of size than like a lot of video games do right now, right?
For sure, yeah.
And just the idea that like that they're gonna make some like, what if they made a live service game and it got Destiny big? That would be the worst thing that could ever happen to Remedy. You know?
Yeah.
It'd be terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, not the worst thing. It would be worse if like, you know, if 25% of the staff were laid off or whatever, right? To be clear. But
yeah.
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 Because I think it's just not like, even if this game like sweeps the Game Awards and, you know, whatever, all that stuff, right? It's not, there's no guarantee that it will be like, that it will be a life raft for the kind of work that it does to continue on, you know, even though they clearly want it to be and clearly positioning it to be.
Yeah.
Okay. Shall we talk questions, or
So
is there anything else that you want to bring up?
we
here?
haven't talked about the song.
Oh my god. Okay. So I think I was going to mention this earlier, but all the music for this was, I think, written for the game,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
which I think sometimes pays off hugely. Like, I think the Poe song that's written for the Alan
It's
Wake
good.
segment, great. I think the Old Gods of Asgard stuff, also really good. I
Top
think the
tier.
fucking hip hop song about Mr. Scratch.
Wait, what? What? Do you hold on? What? What's the name of the song? Hold on.
Fuck. I don't know. Let me look this up.
I'm probably gonna. I think I found it.
Okay, yeah. I don't think it starts off that way. So if you like moved on, but there's
Okay.
like a verse.
Hold
Like
on,
there's a
hold
man
on.
who does bars.
Hold on. Okay, I'm listening to it right now. Hold on.
Okay.
This is.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I
I
think it sounds like. Oh, hold on, I'm on the second verse. Okay. I don't hate it, but it does. But it does sound like when people make raps about upcoming games.
Yes, it does. It's like, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. God. I used to be into that shit, ashamedly.
Yeah, I have not heard that. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think there's like a little instrumental part right at the front. Yeah, so anyway. Yeah, I also don't like the Imagine Dragons song that plays after you wake Alan up in chapter 2. Well, actually, I kind of do. It's kind of hype, but also I hate it. Which is like the now I'm wide awake.
Yeah.
You know, because I
Now
was
I'm
like,
Alan Wake.
now I'm Alan Wake. This is what I'm saying. It's exciting that Alan Wake's. You know, have you seen this video of the? Oh, I'm forgetting who posted this. But somebody posted a video. It's this guy who's out walking. in the city, somewhere in America, I think. It could be Canada, but I think US. And there's like a dog that's trapped in like a bodega storefront. And it's like out the window. And so the guy's like, I'm going to get you out. You don't belong in there. I'm going to get you out of there. And I think this person like posted that video and was like me to Alan Wake. and so like when he's on the shore, I was, feeling it's like, you don't belong in there. I've got you out of here. Oh.
Yeah, I think the music's fine.
Yeah.
I think it's fine.
Yeah. The other thing, okay, so there's two things also about it. So I just like the credit. I think part of it is that Alan Wake 1 just has a really good set of these songs. And so like the fact that it's a little bit more mixed here is like, oh, okay. And also I kind of wish they went like full Roadhouse and like filmed studio sessions or something, like I maybe it's more expensive. Like, I don't know what the production process is like, but I think the way that the Roadhouse stuff in Twin Peaks season 3 like brings this broader world, because a lot of Twin Peaks season 3 to me is about like the thing that happened to Laura is happening everywhere, right? And it's like this, it's not like universal exactly, but it is this like broader thing, right? And that's why it's sort of like a US trotting experience rather than being so, centered on just this town, right? And the way that like the music serves to bring this like the real world into that stuff, and these actual groups and actual musicians that are playing there is like, I think just really lovely and so cool. And I love the space it gives you to like sit after the episode is over, right? And to be fair, like it's not like each segment of this game is as rich as an episode of Twin Peaks: The Return, right? But I do just like the space that gives, and I think this does a fine job of doing it. But I almost wish it went like a little bit further with it. But it's also hard. It's also kind of like shitty to just be like, yeah, it should be more like Twin Peaks season 3. It's like, yeah, maybe a lot of things should be more like Twin Peaks season 3. It's really good,
Yeah.
Ugh. Okay. Are we good for questions now, do you think?
Let's
not to like
let's
keep asking that, but I'm
no, let's take a break and then we'll do questions.
okay. That sounds good.
Some say that it lives forever, this road that I lose you on every time. Some say that it lives forever, this road. Some say that it lives forever, this road that I lose you on every time. Some say that it lives forever, this road. I can see you there, but you don't see me anywhere. I'm right in front of you, I'm right here on this winding road. What are you looking at? Is it your face on a pane of glass? 'Cause somehow this window becomes a trap on this winding road. Will it ever let me go? Forever I am fading to black. Forever I am circling back, just to fall into this trap. This winding road.
Remember 2 hours ago when we were like,
have we ever done a show that's over 2 hours?
No.
Well, yeah, I think
But it might as well be this one,
it really might as well be. Yeah, I feel like it's interesting. Also, I was gonna say another game. This is also like Silent Hill, not to be. Obviously, there are differences, but like in Silent Hill 2, James watches a VHS tape that has like this direct and important impact on the plot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's just not. this has been in video games for a long time. And I think this is a very good example of it. But I just think it's, I don't know, like, I don't know if we need to overstate its originality to like make a case for it being worth engaging with,
Totally.
you know?
Yeah.
All right. So, should we do email questions first?
Sure. Yeah. Let me get those.
Mhm.
Where I put the document somewhere on my screen.
Oh yeah, I have it up. So I can read the first one.
Okay, cool.
Just from Jen. It says, as a longtime Remedy fan, Alan Wake 2 took me by surprise. I was expecting them to try their hand at something closer to horror, and they succeeded by leaps and bounds. But the game also felt like a statement. By transforming the history of Bright Falls, turning it into a Finnish community, hiring Finnish artists for all the interstitial chapter songs, and bringing on famous Finnish actors for their town residents, it felt like they were putting their own stamp on the genre fiction they played around it for so long and almost exclusively set in America. Do you think Remedy has successfully pushed beyond their influences, building something that stands on its own? And are there any other AAA games that you enjoy that feel like they're one big artist statement? I think this is a really good question. I think I feel like the answer is yes, but I guess I also don't know if, like, gun to my head, I would say I prefer Alan Wake to its influences, if that makes sense.
Say more about that.
Oh, I just mean, at the end of the day, if someone was like Twin Peaks or Alan Wake, I would be like Twin Peaks, right?
Oh,
and I
sure.
might even be like Alan Wake or Stephen King. I might say Stephen King, you know,
Right.
which is not. And part of it is also like, that's a big, Stephen King's written so many books. And so it's like, well, okay, is it like the Stephen King who wrote Rage? Because, you know, I could do without that, right? I could do without Needful Things. That book's mid as hell, you know? So I don't mean to be like, it's too blanket a statement. Also, we don't have to make these kinds of decisions, which is wonderful, right? Like, these things can all exist together. We don't have to rank these things, right? But, yeah, and so I guess I don't know if it, like, maybe surpasses, but I do think that, like, Alan Wake 2 is, like, interesting as an object and on its own terms. And, you know, you don't have to. I think you could play this and not have engaged with King or Twin Peaks or any of its other influences, right? And get a lot out of it, right? And I think that's, you know, it's not purely referential.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's hard to answer this question because so much of why I like it is because it is pulling from different pastiches, and I just like when it just plays around in the spaces and just I think that's part of the charm, especially with Remedy, is like, you know, they are pulling from other things and kind of making it into their own. And so it just feels like an extension of that for me.
Yeah.
I definitely do think it's a like as a standalone thing, way more like a way better and like interesting of an object than the first one.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say that, like, I think the Torchbearers versus the Cult of the Tree is like maybe a good way of talking through this.
Yeah, true.
Because, like, the Torchbearers, there's not really like other members of the Torchbearers besides Weaver. And she's also just the log lady, except way less interesting, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, and so then in this, when you have like Ilmo and Yako, like that conversation you have with Ilmo, like after Yako's been killed, like in the sheriff's office, is so good. And it's like, also, I think with these things, it's optional, right? Like, you don't have to talk to him. Yeah. But like that whole thing and them talking about their motivation and like that relationship, the way that builds through their stupid advertisements and stuff is so lovely, and is also not just like, it's not just these are not just Twin Peaks characters, right? And they're in some ways because you know, they're like that you can talk about their sort of there's archetypal things maybe you can compare them to, but like then you're doing TV trope shit, right? Like they feel like people, and they feel meaningful in the context of this, right? And and I think that is such a like. That is proof, I think, that they've really evolved as artists since that point, right? It's just that how much more interesting and intricate that stuff feels, right? When they serve a very similar role in the story, all told, right?
Yeah. Which, by the way, did you watch the last commercial?
I didn't find it, so tell me about it.
It's during Deer Fest, and it's in the diner.
Okay, I just didn't go in the diner during Deer Fest.
And it's the one remaining one.
Yeah,
and he's,
I think.
yeah, and he's like, because it's like he's reviewing Return.
Oh yes, okay, yeah.
But it's not about the book. It's just about a book as an object, and it's like it's the way the book is bound is immaculate, and just like all just like that sort of stuff, and it's really good. But then every once in a while he will like toss it to the other brother who isn't there, and then it just is really sad.
Yeah. But yeah, that's such a funny knock at game reviews too.
Yeah, it's really good. I'll send it to you after this. It's really good.
Okay, no, that's good. It's just that stuff is. I think I also love that like that. This is just a thing I like. I think generally is when something starts out as absurd and then becomes poignant. You know, like that, like the way. Because at first when I saw those commercials, I was like, "What are we doing? Like, I don't really care about this." And I don't think it's that funny, but I think the iteration on it, and then the fact that it's like, oh, these actually become like people, like that you can understand and like relate to and empathize with, right? Like really makes that sing, Like I think that's something that's just nice about it is that it does feel like even when those early parts of the game were going, and I was like, I don't know if I super vibe with this. Like it led somewhere, it paid off to something, right? And that was really satisfying.
Yeah, sorry, I'm looking at it right now. Return is printed on a firm, high-quality, white offset, uncoated paper stock, making every page true to light to turn in your fingertips. It's so good.
Oh my god! Oh my god! And meanwhile, there's like 50 reviews of Alan Wake 2 that are written exactly like that. Fucking shot to the head.
It's so funny.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so and are there any other AAA games you enjoy that feel like they're one big artist statement? I do feel like, for better or worse, Kojima's work does kind of fall into this. They are idiosyncratic. They are, it's not that, obviously there's so many talented people around him that make that go. In particular, like there's this anecdote I think about Metal Gear Solid 2 where they basically like every person like put a list of like 50 features they would like to see in the sequel to Metal Gear Solid, right? And so it's like that, that studio is like this inventiveness generator that like creates that game, so I don't want to like overstate his thing, but it's also like he has particular interests and predilections. And every game that he's directed has those interests and predilections in them and is engaged with them. Like, they do. It is that way. I'm trying to think of like other things here.
Silent Hill 1.
Silent
Hill 2. Silent Hill 3.
Yeah. I was going to I feel like this is kind of a different tack, though. Like Larian has kind of a house style in terms of like encounter design and like that sort of thing. Like that it's a little bit harder to pin down because it's not like big genre stuff. And I guess it doesn't really qualify as like artist statement because those are both like I've only played Divinity 2 and actually I played a little bit of the first Divinity, but that's like it's like a Diablo game. It's kind of different.
It also is like, I don't know. Artist statement feels so broad because, like, Final Fantasy 16 is an artist statement,
Yeah, that is true. Well, I'll say, I think PlayStation, Final Fantasies 7 through 10 at the very least, and probably like 6, 4, and 5 in there too, right? Like that is also a fairly continuous group of people that are iterating on similar things over and over again, and that feel like, but also those games are so expensive. It's just like, I think it's a tricky thing because I think there is like, But I do think you can tell. I think there's a difference. There's a thing that Melos Hantani, the game developer, wrote about, and it's kind of a maybe imprecise framework, but he talks about like alive games and dead games. Mm-hmm. And basically it's sort of like the higher the scale you get of production, the more likely your game is going to be dead because there's just more people. Mm-hmm. And so it's harder for you to like have to feel the humanness of the people who are making it, right? Mm-hmm. And I think in some ways that can be kind of productive, right? Because I think I don't know, it's hard for me to like think about like if you watch like the Soviet War and Peace, for example, you can't tell me that's not a human film, even though there's like literally thousands of people on the screen at any given time.
Yeah.
You know, but I do think that but I do think there is something true to that, though, that like if you play like any of Melos's games, you know, like Sephony or Adonai, which they make with Marina Gitica, those are games that feel like so personal, so human, and you're really plugged in. And it's just like because a huge part of it is it's just two people, right? And so it has to be very particular and kind of make sacrifices through that, you know. Sorry, just give me 1 second. Yeah, does that make sense? I don't have anything more to say. You can go off on your thing now if you have something else to add.
No, I don't have anything.
Okay. So yeah.
Yeah. Next question is from Emerus. If you had to create an AWE or object of power, what would it be? What would it do?
I don't know. I feel like I worry. Okay, so I guess also in theory, if we're using this formulation, like I would prefer for any object of power or anything like that to not get into the hands of the Federal Bureau of Control. So, and my means of doing that maybe would just be like, I have a little like plastic slice of cake, and when there's like a little strawberry on it, and when I click in the strawberry, a slice of cake appears on my desk.
I just think
just like objective human good.
Yeah, I just think I should have a toaster that always has toast in it.
That's good. I like that. That's an even better one because it's very because I don't want to eat cake every day, but toast most days I can do.
Yeah,
you know, very yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm into that. Yeah, because I guess like I don't know. I guess also the other answer I would have is like I would like to have a death note. I think I think if you're a person of conscience, you probably want to have a death note. But maybe that's tyrannical but I don't know. I don't want to like be in charge of figuring out what we do with the new world, but I'm happy to kill some people to make it happen. You know what I'm saying? Like
damn, I can't believe Grace would admit to killing Henry Kissinger on the podcast. It's crazy.
I wish. Oh, I would have done it like 5 years ago too, you know, at the very least. Yeah, so I think that's it. I think that's all I got in terms of answering this question. Okay, so Crystal asked, is there a video game where walking up a spiral staircase feels smooth? I don't know. I feel like I'm going to say no, but this is also partially like in castles, you have a spiral staircase because they are hard to climb. And because it's like disorienting to climb them and it's tight and contained. And so like, you know, and it's easy to like push people down. And so it's like a defense thing. So it's like the reason that climbing a spiral staircase is hard in like Dark Souls is because it's like hard to do in real life when you're like wearing a suit of armor and going up some weird stairs, you know? Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I guess I'm interested. Did you have an answer to this question?
I don't think I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know either.
I was gonna say like Kingdom Hearts 2 is easy, but those are separate like screens. So.
Right, that's true. Yeah. I love the little animation of Snake going up the stairs. I don't think there's any spiral staircases in those games, though.
What if instead of a microwave hallway, it was a spiral staircase?
Yeah. I mean, you know, what if instead of in Resident Evil, instead of the like laser room that's in the movie, it was the spiral staircase? Yeah, I don't know. I also feel like maybe I just don't have enough video games to draw on here is maybe part of the issue. You know what? Okay, I've got an answer to this. In like top-down RPGs, it is easy to climb a spiral staircase because you just click on it and you're good to go. That is a smooth user experience. Boom. Okay. Do you want to read this next one? I think I read the last one.
Sure. This is from Tube. Played Alan Wake 1 this month, and as a horror baby, I was surprised at how not scared I was. What is the least scary horror game you've ever played? And what is the scariest non-horror game you've ever played?
Yeah, I don't know if I would classify Alan Wake as horror exactly, but it is up there in terms of like horror-themed things that I do not think are scary. I'm trying to think of like other. Horror games. I guess, you know, I don't think
I don't know, like Layers of Fear is the least scary.
I was kind of going to say that, like, I don't think those games are scary. I think there is kind of like I listened to this podcast. I think it was Daft Souls, which was like a podcast that Matt Lees of Shut Up and Sit Down used to do about video games. And there's someone on there who talked kind of positively about Layers of Fear, but it was like, it's like a fun house. And so you go into a room and like something silly and weird happens and it's fun, you know? And I kind of but I think that's exactly the thing. I think that's all Bloober Team games to me is like, sometimes something kind of cool happens, but it's never really scary to me, you know?
Yeah. I mean, but that's also how I would describe some parts of Alan Wake 2.
Yeah. Although I think that's true. Although I think Alan Wake 2, part of it is I think some of the existential stuff in Alan Wake 2 is kind of scary.
Yeah.
Right? And I do think like that sequence with Nightingale is scary to me, like straight up. Like I was freaked out during that part. But also video games don't tend to get me too bad. I think like the Anatomy got me. So that's just...
Oh, yeah.
That's maybe the scariest game ever made. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What is the scariest non-horror game I've ever played? Maybe Minecraft? This may be a dumb answer, but like when I was playing Minecraft in like high school, when it was in like alpha, that like seeing a creeper was like a horrifying sight, was so terrifying to me, you know? Mm-hmm. And like that was a game that I had like legitimate, like I remember playing it with like friends. We were like cradled around the screen watching someone play, and we were all like screaming and shouting aloud as like some combat thing was going on. And then like the way that, you know, you're safe in the day but nighttime is bad and stuff like that got me a lot. I don't know if it would scare me now, you know, but at the time I definitely found it like unnerving.
Yeah. Okay. So, in terms of scary games, and this is actually a good thing to talk about with Alan Wake 2, Five Nights at Freddy's I probably can't play. And
yeah,
because it's like all tension and jump scare shit.
Right.
I was going to ask you how you felt about the frequency of the jump scares in Alan Wake 2.
Oh, yeah. I think you could cut like 80% of them.
Yes. Yeah.
Because there are I just have these fixations about games that things I wish they would do. It's like I wish more games had cuts, right? I wish more games had fixed camera angles. And so at first when I was like, there's so many cuts in this. This is so cool. I'm pumped out of my mind that there's so many cuts in this video game. And then it sort of like, and then I sort of started to settle into it. I was like, actually, okay, I could do with less of these actually. Because it's just always the same thing, and even when I was scared by it, it felt so cheap. Like it just, and I think sometimes it would actually be scarier if it let the atmosphere kind of soak in a little bit more.
I think I didn't mind them, but the only part where I would say it really worked was when you go to cut the clicker and then Scratch appears on screen and then the clicker disappears.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's the only time where I was like, okay, that was like an actual good use of a jump scare.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, because I do like the jumps, the aesthetic stuff where it's like the weird, like,
yeah. Oh my God, we didn't talk about the game over screen.
Oh yeah, shit,
what the
man.
fuck, dude? That's so fucked. There's
such a funny clip that I just watched today of Sam Lake like previewing it with like IGN or some like game thing, and the guy's like. The guy demoing it is like clearly kind of freaked out, and Sam Lake's like, "Yeah, it's a horror game."
That's so funny.
Yeah, it's scary. It's unnerving. I think some of the gore stuff in this is like I love picking the heart out of the fridge. That's like ooh, something about that, and like the writing that's like tattooed on it. That's cool too.
Yeah.
God, we could talk about this game forever. We could just go on.
That death screen is truly like probably the scariest thing in the game to me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think I agree. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, the video stuff, like the way it overlays different shots, is really cool.
Yeah.
But it was also just overused to the point of humor when it was like Cynthia Weaver doing the jump scares.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you.
But I was gonna say non-scary game that I found scary was Skyrim because of the fucking spiders. They're so scary.
Yeah.
I hate them. They're too detailed and they jump on you, and I hate it.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I really hate the spiders in Dragon Age Origins. Or no, Dragon Age 2 specifically. There's like this way that they crawl down from the ceiling. I don't care for it. I don't like it. Yeah. What about scariest Oh, that was what you said. You said Skyrim.
Yeah, Skyrim.
So
I stopped playing Skyrim straight up because of the spiders. Probably mod them out on the console versions now, but
yeah. Did you play Dark Souls 2 at all?
Not all the way.
Yeah, because there's that like spider level in that I think is like a major obstacle to some people getting through
it. That's where I stopped.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
I was like, I won't fucking do this.
Yeah, like
I mean, even like the big ant enemies in Elden Ring, were like. Oh,
do you know what
pushing it?
The hands in Elden Ring. I will never get over that.
Oh, for me, it's the dogs.
The dogs are scary too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I think actually, well, I guess I might. You could argue that Dark Souls that those are all horror games, and you could. Make the case.
Yeah, I would argue that at least aesthetically.
Yeah. All right, and Cameron asked us to rank the characters in the game, please.
All right, thank you, Cameron. Thank you, Cameron, for extending the runtime of this podcast.
Yeah, God.
So I'm going to share my screen.
Okay, yeah, please do.
And we'll just do this.
Okay, that sounds good. We can do it collectively. Okay. All right, so can I just say Rose S rank with a bullet? Just put it right there. Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Done.
Let's go.
We have Ahti here.
Oh, I'm going to say a B?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Okay, good. So far, so good.
Saga.
I'm going to say A.
Yeah. Alan Wake.
Oh, I don't know. what do you think?
If it was one Alan Wake, I would do like D. But two Alan Wake, I would probably go either A or B.
Well, let's do A.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Casey himself.
I feel like we got to go S on Casey. Am I wrong?
The
Am I wrong?
the joy on Sam Lake's face as he's dancing in Herald of Darkness is so good.
Oh,
It's
the
so
dance
pure.
in Herald of Darkness is okay, yeah.
Alice Wake.
Oh, I'm gonna say A. I would accept disagreement on this.
I was gonna say either B or C.
All right, let's go.
And
B.
really, it's the post-credit scene that really does it for me.
Yeah. No, I think that's the thing. As I was gonna say, like I get that. Is this door?
Estevez.
Oh, Estevez.
This is Estevez.
I guess B, maybe C.
I'll do B.
Okay. So far, I feel like we're very top heavy, which is fine.
These are the brothers.
Oh, I don't know. A?
I go A too.
Okay. Well, let's do that.
I like them.
Yeah.
These are the old gods.
I'm gonna say B. I like some of the stuff with Tor a lot, but
Yeah. All right, this is door.
Okay. Maybe B also? A or B, I guess?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll do B just because of the impending
Right,
familial stuff.
Yeah.
Thomas Zane is an A to me.
Okay, yeah.
Because there is that part where they get drunk and...
Oh, yeah, and then the fucking Pose of the Fall song plays.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
I like that
called
bit.
And then Alan's like, it's called Return because we return.
Yeah, that's good.
But this is one of the sheriffs, and I don't remember
Oh,
which
he's
one.
like so there's like the Steve Buscemi one, and there's the other one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Steve Buscemi sheriff is a C, and other sheriff is a D.
All right, cool. And this is the Quantum Break sheriff.
Let's say C. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
These are
This
the
is
two characters at the beginning of the game that like sneak in.
E? I just don't care about them at all.
And then we have like the radio guy.
D?
Right.
I like the radio stuff in terms of like atmosphere and things, and like the way it kind of builds up some of the story stuff. Like I like him refusing to believe that woman is dead. Like that stuff is really cool. I don't know if I care about him, generally speaking.
Yeah. Those are all the like two only characters I think in the other.
Oh, okay, yeah. Now I'm seeing that. I was like, this is a very long
No.
list.
So yeah.
But yeah, actually, I think I would probably order it this way too if we were to like do like a pure, like Rose, Casey, Saga, Alan, brothers. I'm forgetting what their last name is. Zane, Ati, Alice. I think that would be a fine way of doing it. I think it is. I guess maybe this is a good sign though that it's like we like the characters in this game and think they generally do a good job. That like only sort of characters that are on the periphery of the story like ended up low, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like most of the principal characters are pretty high.
Yeah.
Oh, should we rank Scratch? There is a Scratch one, and I guess that's technically American Nightmare Scratch, but
sure. I want to say C.
Yeah, I think I was leaning D, but I think that sounds good. I think C's good. Well, they have like characters from the fucking miniseries. the like Bright Falls
no.
miniseries on here.
I don't know what this comic is.
I
either.
know. I don't know what that is either. This is a very comprehensive list. Also, for the record, Barry Allen. S. Barry's an S.
I love that you go to Deerfest and somebody's like, he didn't write Barry into this that much, huh?
That's so good. Well, I'm looking forward to. I think it seems like he might show up in the DLC. So,
Yeah.
okay, great. Well, Rose, thank you for going on the journey of the story of the journey of Alan Wake with me. Not a musical, the podcast.
It's been a wild ride.
Yeah.
I am ready for that DLC to come out, or that patch to come out.
Me too. I would definitely play this game again. I don't know if I will right away, but I will probably at some point, and I would. And I think I'm curious to see how, like, I want to see. There's something that feels kind of perilous to me about recording a podcast so close to the bar, although I don't think it's ever been a problem on previous things, but I am curious to see how this game is going to settle for me in a month.
Yeah.
And, you know, what is going to come out of that. And I'm excited. Like, that's the thing, is it feels rich. It feels like a cool thing to engage with. Yeah. Should we do plugs? Is there something else you want to say?
No, other than I have like a makeshift Cult of the Tree cosplay ready for MagFest, so that's how I feel about the game, I guess.
Yeah, let's go. Is it more in-game Cult of the Tree, or is it like Nightless Night Cult of the Tree?
It's like, I mean, it's not much. It's just like I got a deer mask and a lamp. Sick. And I have like I have like a cape I'm gonna wear and some like dark clothes.
That's perfect. You don't need anything else to do that.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very minimalist when it comes to dressing up as things.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't have money.
Yeah. Who does?
That's
Some
so
people.
True. So true.
It's so sad, but true. Okay, yeah, we're hosted on the Admiral Mapping Network. You can find our podcast on Twitter at Podcast Safe Room and The Safe Room on co-host. We have a Discord, and you can find the link to that at spookygame.club. You can also sub to our Patreon at patreon.com/thesaferoom. We have exciting podcast stuff coming out there that we'll have more news about eventually. And yeah, I'm trying to think what's the last thing we did. Was it the...
It was...
My memory is so shot. I can't... We're fucking in the dark place right now. We're going in circles.
We did Lane, the anime, and then...
Yeah.
We also did like Handheld Talk was the last one of those.
I think that's right. Okay. Yeah, it's good shit.
Yeah, we usually talk about movies, and we can do that again. So
yes, we can. Yeah, we're gonna talk about Lake Mungo soon. And yeah, you can email us questions like the fine folks did today at questions@spookygame.club. Excuse me, Rose. Where can people find you online?
I'm on most things as Bluest Rose 430.
And I am some configuration of Grace Machine, whether Grace_Machine or Grace-Machine on Twitter and co-host in Blue Sky and Tumblr and whatever the fuck. Sometimes I think about getting a Mastodon, and I think that's probably a dark future. But it may come to pass, just like many dark futures occur in Alan Wake 2. You know? Speaking of video games, next time we're going to play... Resident Evil Remake, originally for the GameCube and now like on basically every platform imaginable, remake of Resident Evil. I played this before, and you've played most of this or parts of this before.
Yeah. I played a lot of it. I haven't finished it though.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
excited.
It'll be good. It's just good. I'm excited to play it again. It's just a fun one. All right, I think that's it. Thank you all so much. And there's so many pithy sign-offs I could go with here, but, you know, give me a champion of light and I'll show you a herald of darkness, okay? Think about that. God, I fucking knocked my...
From what I've gathered, you grew up nice and sheltered with mama's pretty stories and your own made-up fury. And mama gave me a magic clicker. Well, yes, I think it's true and fair to say. Come on in and listen, lost words you've been missing. Now the fire you're bearing, the eye of the darkness, your light. So you were drawn to stories early on. My dreams would light up my imagination. And you had nightmares night and day. Yeah, but with the clicker I chased those frights away. Ooh, you, so true. So here is a clue of hope to remember. Visions, they come true. Bend the light switch to. Of crime and chilling thrillers of hard-boiled killers became bestsellers. It was all too much, I had to get away. That meets the eye. I never meant for it to ruin my life that way. Would you say you lived a jaded lie? Dark shades could never save the day. So sad, but true. Fighting the nightmares, torch and a light switch, a gift or a curse, a reality. he could write a new story like Tom Zane before him, and maybe they'd be happy once again. Just one shot, one more chance for him to save their marriage away from the city, a romantic getaway. Still he's a torchbearer such a dark place. Am I trapped in here? Is this real? I cannot remember. There was a manuscript, it held a key. A vicious cycle I must not surrender to. Echo scenes to seek out again and again until I figure it out to bring this song to its end.